You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind.
With the emergence of global internet, a human population of several billions, an electronic noosphere, that we are now within the shadow of this transcendental object at the end of time.
I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter is going to be, because
Magic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Midnight Variety Hour. Adam, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Doing well.
Both wearing interestingly printed shirts. I like it.
Yeah.
This was not planned, but I like our shirts
That's
a lot
nice.
today.
I like it, man. Looking good.
Well, we are here today with a good friend of the show who is making his first appearance. Christian, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We are doing excellent. We are here. We all have something to sip on, except for Adam. I don't think he's drinking
Christian
anything.
confused me. He was walking down the hall and I saw this Warriors shirt on. I was like, bro, I thought you were a Celtics fan. He was like, yeah, I am. But I just had to cop this. Well, it is a Curry shirt too. It has Curry's numbers on it. But I was like, okay, represent. I like Curry.
I feel like a lot of sports fans just have like random sports gear for like shit they don't even care about.
Yeah.
You know, like
For sure.
like one time my dad went to Baltimore and he just brought me back a Baltimore Orioles hat. I don't give a fuck about the Baltimore Orioles, but I have an Orioles hat, you know?
Right.
And like you wear it out in public and people go, "Oh, Orioles fan." I'm like, "No. Not really."
Sorry to,
yeah.
to make you sad there.
So you're a Celtics fan.
Yeah, I'm a Celtics fan, but you can find some gems in the thrift store. Like I have an AI jersey, and I used to have like a Carmelo jersey, a KG jersey, and a Michael Jordan jersey that all of them I got from the thrift store.
And like
$5,
jerseys are
$6.
expensive.
They are.
So it's wild when you can find them at the thrift store. And then on top of that, it's like, who is giving these away?
Exactly.
I like to imagine it's like the kids have gone off to like college or whatever, and the mom is just like, he's never gonna wear this again, and like takes it to Goodwill or some shit, you know?
Damn.
And then he
that'd be
comes
tragic.
home like a year later, "Mom, where's my AI jersey?" I didn't think you'd need it, you know?
That's heartbreak.
Gone. That's funny.
Yeah, why are jerseys so expensive? They're, especially basketball jerseys, they're a very basic piece of clothing. They don't even have fucking sleeves. You know what I mean?
The NBA's just trying to catch a check.
That's all.
They
I
just,
guess.
They're just trying to charge up
Yeah.
because they can.
Yeah.
Now, I think baseball jerseys are probably the most expensive, but that I can sort of understand because they have buttons and they're like really thick and they have sleeves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But football and basketball jerseys, I don't get why they need to be $75+, you know?
Yeah.
But whatever. That's besides the point. We're all sports fans, so unfortunately, this will be another episode where we drift over to sports. You can fast forward later if you want. But until we get to sports, Christian, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you go to U of H. I know that you are also a part of NSBE, which for our listeners, if you guys listen to the Ali episode, Ali was the former president of NSBE. I understand that you are now the current president of NSBE.
That's right.
Tell us what's that like, being the president of your organization, and what that's been like for you.
It's been a pretty fun transition so far. It's just, now you get like more perspective. So I was vice president last year.
Right.
So I worked pretty closely with Ali. I kind of saw some of the moves that he had to make. So the biggest part so far up to literally this past weekend has been transition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only me transitioning, but it's a whole board of 24, 25 other people.
Yeah.
So making sure that their transition meetings are effective, making sure that they're understanding their roles, making sure that it's, as much as we have roles and we want to make sure that we're doing things for the organization and stuff like that, it's also supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting paid.
Right.
So making sure that it's like a fun opportunity for people to be able to kind of get some leadership skills and work in a team and be creative with ideas and stuff like that. But it's been pretty good so far.
And so I imagine that happens every like June, every time the school year ends, you guys go through that sort of transitional period. Yeah.
Pretty much. So towards the end of the middle of the spring semester, we know that the semester's coming to an end. So we start to have like election meetings for what we call the top five, which is like the administration zone.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, once that top five is elected from those meetings, then there are interviews that go for the rest of the board from that top five. So the top five interviews the rest of the board. select them, announce them at the banquet at the end of the year, and then start the transition process.
Okay. And so what year are you at? Are you a senior now? Junior?
I'm like a super junior, man.
Super junior.
Yeah.
I like it.
I went to community college before I got to U of H.
HCC?
So I got my associates in science at HCC. I got there in 2015, graduated in 2017, and then I went to U of H after that. And since then, like, I didn't even know what to call myself then. But now I pretty much I see myself as the same way. So I started off going the mechanical engineering track, but it was something else to try to get into the engineering school, and it was just it was taking too much time for me. And I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to work for a company out in Georgia. And so that experience allows me to kind of not only see what the field is, but also speak to my experience in the future. So if I were to just go the mechanical engineering technology route, it's easier to get into the school, but also it's an effective program. So once I graduate, I can not only speak to that program, but I can speak to my work experience too.
Yeah.
So
I feel like U of H is kind of known for their engineering programming. Like, it's a pretty good engineering school as far as I'm concerned.
Very well known.
So, and then you mentioned you went out to Georgia and you were doing some time working out there. What were you doing in Georgia?
So I want to say in 2018, 2019, I got a co-op to work for Georgia Power. So Southern Company is like the mother company, and there are different companies under that: Georgia Power, Alabama Power, Mississippi Power, and maybe another, and then like Atlanta Gas Light and companies like that. But essentially, it's a power company, and so there's like big generation plants, transmission plants to get the power from, the big power from the generation to like actually being able to get it to distribute to customers and stuff like that. So I worked as a distribution engineer, which is pretty much, I did a lot of the customer work. So generation, their job was like to focus on different ways to generate power, make sure that everything was straight. Transmission, those are like those big lines. If you've ever took like a road trip, and you see those big
power lines that just line the highway.
Exactly. So their job is like to maintain those lines, make sure that everything's good, trim like trees and stuff around it, and also find new ways to kind of optimize getting power. And then distribution is like taking that big power and then getting it to the customers. So I'm getting phone calls from people left and right saying, hey, I want power to my house, I want power to my shed, I want power to my company, whatever the case may be. So it's just talking to a lot of different people, managing a lot of different projects, and figuring out the best way to get power from our distribution lines to the customer. So
I wanted to rewind for a second. Why did you choose engineering? Like, what inspired you to take that path?
To be honest, I didn't know a lot about engineering before I chose it. So I went to Michael E. DeBakey High School. And
you went to DeBakey?
Yeah.
So you were thinking medical, probably.
I was not.
No?
It's funny how I got there. So I was originally, I'm from Acres Homes, which is like North Houston.
Yeah.
So my home school is Booker C. Washington, which is like pretty much an engineering school, historically anyway. And so with that being said, it was, my pops pretty much told me, it was either going to be Booker T or it was going to be DeBakey. And you have to test to get into DeBakey. And oh my God. But anyway, so I went through that testing process. I got accepted, and we went to like this presentation, I guess they gave. It was pretty much for them to be able to sell the school. And they were talking about 80% of our students go to college and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, "You going here?" So I ended up going to DeBakey. No choice of mine. So sports was pretty much stripped from my life at that point, because DeBakey didn't have any athletics.
That's what happened with me.
Like
I went to an academic magnet high school, and that's exactly what happened to me, which I hated.
Yeah.
But DeBakey, for those that don't know or aren't from Houston that are listening to the show, I believe it's considered like the #1 high school in Houston, and it's named after famous heart surgeon Michael DeBakey.
That's right.
But I mean, it's like considered one of the greatest high schools you can go to. But I mean, if you're a sports person, I feel your pain, because that shit really sucks, going to a school with no fucking sports. Okay, so you went to DeBakey, and what was your overall, other than being pissed off about not having sports, what was your experience there?
Culture shock, bro.
Yeah.
I'm being from North Houston, like my schools from elementary and middle school are like predominantly black and Latino. So with that being the case, I'm used to a certain lifestyle in
Right.
terms of going to school,
Sure.
studying for classes and stuff like that. That's nothing that I really ever had to do. I was like A's and B's, didn't have to study, did my homework, knocked it out, and I'm good. But when I got to DeBakey, I wasn't prepared for what I walked into. So there are students who actually prepared for DeBakey, like in middle school,
Right.
and even further back into elementary school.
Almost like somebody
Even
prepping
training.
for college and high school. It's
Exactly.
like they're prepping. Yeah,
So like
their parents have
different-
been grinding them to get into DeBakey. Yeah,
Exactly. One of the most one of the things I still remember, like my first or second week of school there, like as a freshman, my professor or teacher was talking about Cornell notes, and he was like, "Yeah, you guys should know about Cornell notes and all that." I was like, "What the
Cornell knows. Yeah,
what is that, bro?" So everybody starts taking Cornell notes as he's going through the lecture, and I'm already in a culture shock. So I'm trying not to come off slow or stupid. So I'm trying to like adjust. So I'm not asking questions like, "What are Cornell notes?" I'm not even at that
Right.
that stage of being able to communicate something like that. And so I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll just kind of wait and see, take my own notes, and then see what happens. But that was like an intro to like me knowing that everybody pretty much was on a different level
Sure.
in terms of their preparation for what they had going on. And my first year there, I almost left, to be honest with you. That first semester, it kicked my ass, man. And my mom asked me, she was like, again, they're used to me getting A's and B's, no problem. I don't even have to talk about school. When they see my report card, they know I'm good. So she asked me after that first semester, she was like, "You want to leave? You want to go to Booker T?" And like I was like, "Can't do that, dog."
Right.
Like that's like asking like, "You want to quit?"
Right.
And I was like, "Nah." So it was a culture shock, definitely academically, to start getting used to practicing studying, practicing actually reading the textbook, paying attention in class, the whole class, asking questions and stuff like that. That was a whole process. Literally took the whole 4 years. And also a culture shock, probably for the biggest reason because of the dynamic of the people. So for those who don't know, when I got to DeBakey, like it's almost predominantly Asian. And that's not just Japanese, Chinese, Korean. That's also Indian, right?
Yeah.
And also African, like Nigerian. But I'm like the minority. Like in my class, when I first got there, I was probably one of, I guess, 10, you could say, and I might be stretching it a little bit, of what you would call African Americans, like born in America.
Right.
Parents were born in America.
Right.
When I graduated, I was the only one.
Wow.
Male. There were like 2 or 3 other
That's
females
insane.
there. Tell me about it.
So what is your motivation for not wanting to give up? You said you had that opportunity where your mom was like, "Look, you don't have to do this," but I think the average kid would probably be like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
get
I don't
me
want to
outta
do
here."
it. I just want to go play outside with my friends. Play video games, do whatever kids do. You know what I mean?"
Right.
So like, what was that like? Was it something in your upbringing, or kind of what motivated you for that?
It's probably my upbringing. Just because, I really can't. The first thing that comes to mind is pride. Like, I was just like, I've never been one to back down from a challenge. Like, if somebody presents me with something, like, I'm gonna do it. A lot of times in my earlier years, I would stem away from trying to do stuff, and that was my way of choosing what I did, because I know if I'm gonna do it, I don't know the off button that well. But once I started at DeBakey, I started to get to know the students a little bit, and I started to kind of see what the curriculum was. And it was more so me personally. I was like, the things that they're doing is not hard. It's just really fast paced right now. It's almost like, and I don't mean to reference sports for anybody who doesn't want to hear, but it's almost like being a rookie in the league.
Yeah.
Like, the game is moving really fast, and it's not that you can't catch up. You just have to change your preparation to get there. Now, when I was 14 or 15, I did not think exactly what I just said, but it was kind of that's the feel that I got.
Sure.
And it was just hard, like, to say no. Like, once my mom, because again, I had been thinking that whole first semester, I was like, my friends, like, they telling me about their first week of school, girls, sports. I'm like, man, I know people that are going to Lamar and Waltrip, Yates. I'm like, man, they're like cruising through the year, and I know they're getting like decent grades and stuff like that. I'm like, it could be so much easier to go over there. But it was like something, I was already upset with myself because I was like losing a little bit of confidence, and I was like, that's not me. So like when I got to the point where she asked me that question, I was like, nah.
Right.
I can't do this to myself, because if I go into the next year and I go to the other school, now I'm looking like, and also there was a dynamic of being one of the few black males in the school, African American males. I was like, I don't want to, and there were people who were saying throughout that first semester, I'm leaving. I can't do this no more. And their demeanor, their attitude about it was like, it was almost a little distasteful for me. So I was like, I can't make this statistic. Like, this can't be status quo. Like, I have to try to at least stick around for a little bit longer. So that was another reason I was kind of like, I can't leave. If I leave, they have to kick me out.
Right.
So, and they do that. Academically, if you're not meeting certain standards, you get kicked
It's like
out.
a GPA standard you have to meet or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty inspiring, man. Like, good for you. That's to me, it's a pretty big accomplishment. Like, that's amazing. And we're just talking about it like it's, oh yeah, you know, for only a African American graduate. Like, damn, bro, that's amazing. That's really amazing,
No,
bro. For
seriously.
real.
I mean, my school was very, very similar, except me and Christian had different attitudes. If my parents let me leave, I would have been like, get me out of here. But my parents were like, no, you're going to Kerr. You're finishing your time at Kerr. And I'm not like, you have no option.
Right.
But if I was given an option, I would have been like, yeah, let me get out of here. So, dude, you got more resolve than I do. But at the end of the day, I think everyone that goes to a high school like that, I think for the most part, you look back on it and go, okay, it was worth it. You know? Like, I mean, I've seen just like the attitude that, because it was an academic magnet school, so it was very like college prep centered. It was very centered on making you like your own self-starter, your own like time management. All like if you had to take a test, you took it on your own time. There was like a testing center, and all they gave you was a testing slip. You had like this amount of time to go in there and take it. It was like, okay, let's see if you can. Like, it was set up very much like college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like very based on peer-to-peer communication. There wasn't like a teacher watching over you every day. It was sort of like you were given a packet of work. Then they were like, all right, the deadline on this is 2 weeks from now, and you need to learn this concept, and this concept. They would give you one seminar that was like a couple hours long where they would go through it, and then from there it was your job to like hone in and like make sure that you were able to get that shit done.
Right.
And so I hated it while I was there. And I felt like a fish out of water, because I think it was like maybe not as like my school might have been a bit more diverse than DeBakey, but I would say 80% of our population was Asian. And then, you know, there was a large African population, but in terms of African American students and just even like white students were a huge minority. So it was kind of the same thing. And there was no sports. I'm a huge sports guy. So, yeah, I definitely felt like a fish out of water, but after graduating, after going to college, after using the stuff that I learned in high school to further myself in college, reluctantly I say it was worth it. You know, even though I wish I sort of had a different high school experience, I am glad that I went there. So schools like that are really interesting. Now, you went to like just your average high school. Like when you picture high school, that's where Adam went. You went to what, Kingwood Park?
Well, not necessarily, because I went to Humble High School. I went to Humble Middle and Humble High School. High School for my junior and sophomore year, and then my my freshman and sophomore, and then I went to Kingwood Park for my junior and senior, and I played basketball there and stuff like that.
Right.
I played basketball my whole life growing up, it was a pretty black and white, like pretty literally. So I went to literally all black school to almost all white school, and got 2 years of both. So it was like very like dramatic shift, same culture shock, like immediately. Like when I went to Kingwood Park, like the first day I'm wearing like, you know, baggy clothes and, you know, just what my friends wore. Like,
Right.
and everyone's looking at me like I'm an alien. I'm like, what the hell? Everyone's wearing like short shorts and Sperry's, and, you know, I'm just like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I didn't know kids, you know, it was just different for me. So I was like, yeah, I had a pretty shock. It was like definitely culture shock. But yeah, it was a blessing in disguise. But like so Kingwood Park though, you have to like, you don't have to test to get in there, but you have to like submit an application to get in. So it's not your average public
Really?
school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not your average public high school, but it's definitely more academic driven. But they still had all your casual, all your sports teams and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it was your kind of standard, but a little different because it was new. And it was when I was there, it was like the first maybe 3 years it had opened. So that was still a lot of new stuff about it. But yeah, that's in a nutshell my high school. Life.
So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
funny that y'all mentioned. I didn't even think about like white students, but
I know.
white students were the minority
Mm-hmm.
at DeBakey. It wasn't a big shock because even my other schools were like predominantly, like I said, Black and Latino. So there were still a few white students there. But going to a school that's like academically supposed to be the top of the top,
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised to see so few white people there. And that was actually the first time I had seen Asians in person. So I was kind of like,
Yeah, I
I didn't know
mean,
what was
because
going
if you
on,
grew up
bro.
in Acres Homes, that's what'd you say, 90% Black community. I mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no Asian people living there. So yeah, that's crazy to think that. And you think of Houston as like such a diverse city, but there's like these weird microcosms where
Oh, yeah.
there's like communities that
Huge,
are
for sure.
not diverse at all. You know,
Right.
For sure.
and it's so weird. It's like, you think of white people as just being the majority across the board, but especially in places like Houston, it's
Yeah,
just not
I've
the
had
case.
a very similar experience with people who are just like excelling academically, and on average, they're not from the U.S., not born in the U.S.
right.
Yeah.
Because I went to community college for a while, and anytime that I pretty much was good friends with everyone in my class because I wanted to talk to people and like get to know like what they're doing, and plus we could share notes and everything like that,
Yeah.
right? It's good to have connects, right?
Yeah.
So like, but the people who were making the A's and the top grades in the class, just off the top, one was from Mexico, one was from Africa, one was Asian. They're just from different parts of the world,
Right.
and plus community college attracts more international students anyway. But like, they're all top of the class. They're all making 100s on their tests.
Very true.
I was literally in a circuits class, which is a pretty difficult class, and this girl's making hundreds, like it's nothing. And she's from Africa, and I was asking her about like her childhood upbringing. I was like, what makes you, like how are you doing this? I'm just curious. And she was like, well, like even if I like the way I was brought up in my schooling, if I failed one class throughout, like say just like a 1 year worth of classes, if she were to fail one class, she has to retake all of them. And that's starting from elementary school
Right.
all the way up. And so you're just like, whoa, even if you fail like a PE or an art class or something like that, sorry, you're retaking everything. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
man.
It's like failure was just not
So
an
it's like,
option,
yeah, you're immediately eliminating. So it's like really interesting to see like how their upbringings and their difference, because like to me, like everyone's like, oh, you have to come to America to get your education, or like this is where the best educations are. But like, really, is it? I don't know,
It's
because
so weird.
it's weird, right? But it's like you get the name and like the prestige, but is it really better academically?
Right.
At least the public schools, I don't know.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and even like I know we're talking about like on a high school and college level, but my mother is a preschool teacher, and she teaches a wide variety of kids. She has a lot of Asian students, but she also has a lot of Middle Eastern students, like kids just from all over. But she's repeatedly told me like she's been a preschool teacher since I was 6, so 20 years now she's been a preschool teacher, and she says the differences in like. She says her Japanese students, they're not like any of the other kids in the like they just seem to have a higher aptitude for reading and just different behavioral traits and just things like that. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing stemming from like the way kids from different countries are raised, but she's just like repeatedly said that kids that come here from Asia, Japan, and Korea and things like that, they're just completely different. They eat completely different foods that are like very health centered and things like that, and they just have a completely different attitude. They are more apt to read faster or start reading sooner and just things like that. And I just think it's so interesting that America is regarded so highly as like, oh, wealthiest country in the world, and like, oh, it's the standard of success, go to America and succeed. And it's like the kids that are coming here from America are getting the fucking brakes beat off them by all. So it's
Yeah.
like we really aren't the greatest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, yeah, I think if you look at like where we're ranked, like
Very
educational
low,
wise,
yeah.
pretty low,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The U.S.
Oh,
just
yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
I think
Pretty low.
I think it's a discipline thing too.
It definitely is a discipline
That's
thing, yeah.
probably one of the biggest reasons why. Because I've met people that come from out of the U.S. for education and stuff like that, and when you talk to them like in regular conversation, you can tell they're probably like some of the laziest people you've met. But when it comes to certain aspects of their life, that discipline is there. Like when it's time to study for classes, when it's time to eat, when it's time to do anything that's kind of like core value with their life,
Right.
it's like it's not even a switch to change their dynamic. It's just you can tell that this is something that's just it's second nature now.
Right.
Like, this is what I do when it's time for a test. 2 weeks out, I'm studying, I'm asking questions, I'm doing this, worksheet and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff was stuff that I noticed, even just that being at DeBakey, because I was like, I can tell some of these students are like, they have the same personality as me. So when I'm with them, I'm like, okay, we're doing some of the same stuff, so the results should be the same when we do our quizzes, when we do our tests, our homeworks and stuff like that. But then they're not. And I'm like, why is that not the same? And then when I started to pick up some habits, going to the library and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, okay. And I go to their table at lunch and I'm seeing that they're working in groups to try to get homework done
Right.
and asking questions and stuff. I'm like, it's the little shit outside of just normally hanging out that makes that discipline like so strict to the point where it's second nature for them to be like evolved in those areas. So I think that's like a huge reason why.
Yeah, I think that, like, especially when you come here from another country, it's like instilled in you that it's like, all right, we are going somewhere where we're not from. We have to succeed here. Like, we can't fuck around and not make it over here. Like, we are leaving a place that, we want to go to America for a better life. We are not going to mess this shit up. And so they just, like, whether you're first generation American or second generation American, like, it's instilled in you to, like, you are going to succeed. You are going to.
And it, like, you also know in that position there could be 100, 1,000, thousands of more kids that could be in your spot, but like, luckily or by chance or whatever, you were chosen or had that opportunity.
You got here. Like, don't mess your spot up. Yeah,
for sure.
And then even then, there's not a level of comfort like for leisure, because it's not like, if I'm going to school by my house, like, I know the parks, or I know the people that live down the street. I know my cousin lives 5 minutes away from me and my other cousin lives 10 minutes away from me. So like, when the weekends come or I get out of school, I'm looking for leisure things to do. If I'm going to a whole new country, a whole new continent, like, when I finish school, I might be looking for other things to do, but that level of comfort isn't the same as being at home. And so when you go home, you more so just kind of fixated with everything that you know, or that you know that you need to do. And so it kind of allows you to focus a little bit more on the reasons that you're there versus other people who live and are from those places. I don't know how we start talking about this.
But I just have to ask you, the way you're wearing headphones, you look like you're an experienced headphones wearer. Have you done like any audio stuff or what?
No.
Oh no. Okay. It just looks like he's done it before. He's like, just put them on the way he has them. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like my thing. I don't know. Anyway, but also on travel, like you mentioned that you've traveled a lot, and I haven't got to talk to you about like where you've been and stuff. Like where in the world have you gone, or in the U.S. have you gone?
I've only been places in the U.S.
Okay.
So me and my family would vacation a lot in Florida. So I've seen a lot of Orlando and a little bit of Miami. I worked in Georgia, so I lived there for probably 11 to 14 months of my life.
What part of Georgia were you in?
My first term, so I went there for multiple terms, or 2 terms, really. So my first one, I was in Macon, Georgia, which is like
I know Macon.
in the middle, like central Georgia.
It's like the heart of the state,
Exactly, the heart of Georgia. And then I stayed in Austell, Georgia, my second stint, which is like 20 minutes west of Atlanta.
Okay.
Outside of those places, I've been to St. Louis, I've been to Detroit. I got family from Louisiana, from Monroe, Louisiana. So I've been to Monroe, I've been to New Orleans, different cities in Texas. I went to Vegas, but I was a kid, so I don't even want to count that.
I know, it's like it's got to be a completely different experience. I've been to Vegas multiple times, but only the airport, and even the fucking airport is just wild.
Really?
You get off the airplane, it's just slot machines, like at the gate.
It's stupid.
It's
crazy.
ridiculous.
It's so dumb.
It doesn't even. It just feels like the whole city is a fucking gimmick.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's kind of cool, and like one of my favorite games as a teenager was Fallout New Vegas. So like it's kind of cool just to be there and see that place, but. It's like as you're flying in, you fly in over the strip, and you can see the billboards from the airport, like, Celine Dion tonight, and then like big golden Trump buildings, and like you can see all the casinos. But then you get off the airplane, and you have to like walk to your connecting flight, and the whole way to your connecting flight, slot machines and just like
They just randomly set up, right? They'll just be like in the middle of the hallway.
Next to the bathroom.
Yeah, you're just like
Crazy,
walking, and they'll just place a slot machine wherever they can fit it, and you're just like,
Right.
why is this here? Like, why?
So there'll be like a random slot machine on the wall, but then there'll also be like little gambling centers, like little corners of the airport that are just full of gambling machines.
It's for the people that are going, bro. For the people who've already been captivated
Yeah.
by the casinos.
I mean,
and stuff.
yeah, and it's that, and it's a real addiction. Like, if you ever drive out to Louisiana, like on the way to like to what are those? What's the ones called? Like
There's
Golden Nugget, whatever.
There's Kashada.
Kashada, yeah. If you ever just driving on that street, yeah,
LaBerge,
LaBerge. If you're just driving on that long road, I forgot what highway that is. They're literally like every other mile. If you need help gambling, please call this number.
No.
Or like every other, like you'll just see billboard after billboard after billboard, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is a real problem. Because I mean, you just don't really know or see it, but like there's people really addicted to this shit, like just can't
on
stop.
TV, if you watch like the World Series of Poker, or if you're watching poker on TV, sometimes it'll say like gambling help, call
Right.
this number.
It's crazy.
Why do you think people get addicted to gambling?
The same reason you get addicted to anything, man. Like,
Just the rush of serotonin when you win, like that.
yeah, it's definitely psychology to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason why you play Warzone or any of these video games
Well,
that
and think
make
about
you want to play every time.
Like, think about slot machines, especially. Everything about a slot machine is driven to really hit you in like your pleasure and reward centers.
Sure.
The flashing lights, the sounds, whenever you win, like all the fucking noises, and everything about a slot machine is driven to like make the reward center in your brain really happy. And so people just sit there. Like, I've been on a cruise ship before, and there's a casino on the cruise ship. And I've never gambled before, but we got a $50 ship credit. Everyone who had a room got $50. You can just do whatever you want with it. So I was like, all right, I'll spend my $50 down in the casino. I like blackjack. I used to play the blackjack app on my phone all the time, like just as like a way to pass the time. So I was like, I'll go down there and play blackjack. I lost that $50 in like 5 minutes, and I thought, I'll never do this shit ever again. This is the dumbest shit in the world. But there were people down there because you had to pass the casino to get to the venue where they did like the comedy shows and the. So it was like the fun deck or whatever the fuck they called it. Anyway, I would walk by there and I would see the same people. It was a 5-night cruise. Over the course of the 5 nights, there were people that I saw in the casino every single time. And they're just sitting down there. Like, you can smoke in there. You're just people are sitting there smoking and drinking and just pulling the lever and smoke and drink, pull the lever again. And it's just like,
crazy.
You're on this ship, this feat of engineering, sailing through the fucking ocean. There's pools and gyms and like a spa, and there's all this shit. You could go watch a movie, you could go watch a comedy, but all they want to do is sit there in sweatpants and just pull a fucking lever or like play cards. I just don't understand. I have no hate to people that like, if you really enjoy playing poker or blackjack or whatever, I just don't get it. But I could see how people get addicted to it.
Yeah, for sure. If you never had anyone that like takes you like and like, look, this is how it's done, you know what I mean, and show you the way and show you the ropes,
but like
then it's like
poker
kind
and
of
blackjack, there's a skill to it.
Yeah.
I don't understand slot machines.
Yeah.
It's just random chance. You're just putting money in and pulling a lever and like, damn, lost again. Oh well. You know, I
think the one of the biggest pulls in really any kind of gambling is like the opportunity to have really like, it's almost like having a short-term goal and you can see the end result very quickly.
Yeah.
So you get to, instead of like, if things aren't necessarily going your way in life, or maybe something wasn't going right in any other way, that's an opportunity to be able to try something and be like, I was close. I tried again. I was close. I got some more money. I'll try it again. And then afterwards, you might get a win in there, and you're like, oh, okay, you know, flashing lights and stuff like that. Let's try this again, and then you just keep going and going, and then after that, it just becomes like a way of life. Like now, that's something that if things aren't going right, I can go back to this, because like the opportunity of chance, it doesn't lead to me disappointing anybody else. It's just literally me, like doing what I'm doing right now. It's me face to face with this machine.
Yeah.
It's me face to face with this deal. Now, of course, it does affect people, especially if you have people that are dependent on you and you're using the money to gamble in that way. But when you're in the room, when you're at the table, it's easy to just be one-on-one with those chances and just be like,
For me, I grew up playing Texas Hold'em as a kid, like 9-10 years old, with like my friend's family. We'd just all sit around the table. They'd have poker night. That's what they did. And they're like, hey, you want to learn? They would teach me. I learned at a super young age how to play. And so like I obviously wasn't playing for money, But then as I got older and older, we started playing money with friends and stuff. And it was never anything like major, maybe $5, $10, you know, just for fun.
Yeah.
But so that's still the only game like I really enjoy playing. If I go to casinos or anything like that, I just want to sit like, because there's something about like being person to person. There's one deck of cards. You know, it's very simple to me, at least. You know, if you don't know like the rules are, to me, I've known since, you know, a kid, but like pretty obvious rules, pairs and flushes and straights and stuff like that. You know, but like you have one deck, you have one dealer, you have a group of people around, you're looking at everyone in the eyes. To me, it's like that's more like entertaining to me because like I can like read people, I can like strategize, I can say, okay, that guy's doing this guy's doing that. I want to play like this, I only have this much money. You know, so it's like more strategy, more like kind of skill, but like to me, I enjoy that.
I don't play, but I have a huge respect for people that are like really good at poker just because like the psychological aspect, people think it's like, you know, some people think it's all just luck of the draw, like whether or not you manage to draw good cards, but it's like, dude, there's so much that, like, especially when you get up to, like, you're watching the World Series of Poker people, and they're just, like, they have millions of dollars on the line. They're sitting there with their sunglasses on, and they're all plotting and scheming against each other and shit like that. It's, like, really amazing. So if I could do it, maybe I would enjoy it more. I didn't really grow up in a poker household. Neither of my parents enjoyed it. I didn't, like, the kids on my street, we weren't playing poker or anything like that. So, I mean, I just never grew up exposed to it. But my girlfriend's stepfather is like really good at poker. Like he routinely goes to the poker house and he'll like, oh, won $5,000. Oh, it was a slow night. I only won 600. You know, like he repeatedly wins. But he only gambles with his winnings.
That's the way to do it.
He owns his own business, so it's not like, you know, his family's fucked if he like loses a bunch of money because he literally is just gambling with his profits and he has a very successful career outside of poker. So it's like he does it purely because he's good at it and he really enjoys it. And I just think like it's got to be pretty badass, you know. My dad doesn't play, but my dad always tells me this story about my grandfather, his dad. My dad has 5 siblings, so there were 6 of them all together. And my grandfather got into a bar fight one night and he got stabbed and he couldn't work for like a while.
Was this in Brooklyn?
The Bronx. They're from the Bronx, New York. Yeah. And my grandfather got stabbed, and he supported my dad and the family for like a year just playing cards.
Oh, damn.
Like he literally could not work, and he just like sat up in the apartment and had card games and just supported the entire family on cards. Yeah. And so
he's literally playing for his lunch.
Like literally. I mean, now granted, like, you know, you could do a lot more with money back in the, you know, 60s and 50s and all like that, because my dad was born in 52, so he grew up a long time ago. But just imagine your dad in like 1958, the Bronx, New York, just supporting your family on poker, you know? So anyway, I've never been good at it. I never grew up exposed to it, but I got a lot of respect for people that can do it because it's pretty badass. I love watching like poker scenes in movies too, like Casino Royale when James Bond is like just one-on-one with like the villain, and you're just watching them play with like the fate of the world on the line and Royal Flush and all that. I don't know. I just think it's cool, but maybe one day you'll have to like give me a crash course and we can. For your brother's birthday, we had like a poker night one night.
That's right. Yeah.
And y'all got. We got
into it. It got a little intense. It did. Yeah. So yeah, good time. So wait, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Uno's my game. Shit, I just.
Yeah.
That's my card game. I play Uno. Shit. You know.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Uno.
Yeah, it's great. Ends a few friendships every now and again, but
every now and again.
Yeah. All right, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna ask Christian. Wait. Wasn't Chubtown in Georgia?
Chubtown. It is in Georgia, I think.
Have you heard of Chubtown?
No.
I don't know why it just came up because
it sounds
Georgia,
horrible. It sounds like
Chubtown.
Yeah, it sounds like the scene of a porno
so
or something.
You know Nick Chubb on the Browns, the running back?
Oh yeah, okay.
So yeah, that's basically his town.
Nick Chubb.
Almost.
Nick Chubb has 2 family members that are in the NFL. There's Brandon Chubb, Nick Chubb, and then is it Nate?
I don't know, honestly.
Nate. So Nick Chubb, his brother Brandon Chubb, and then they have a cousin who's also last name Chubb, who's also in the NFL. Anyway, they're from a town in Georgia, very, very small town, maybe like 800 people, 1,000 people. And it was named after one of their ancestors. Chubtown was started in the late 1800s. It was a city founded and completely run by runaway slaves, like freed slaves. Right after slaves got freed, they moved to this settlement and they set up, I don't remember what the guy's name was, but the last name was, family name was Chubb.
Yeah.
And they started this town called Chubtown, Georgia. The entire city was inhabited by freed slaves. and like everything in that town, the main road is called Chubb Road.
Yeah.
All the stores like Chubb's General
Chubb
Store.
Church and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Chubb Pentecostal Church or whatever. Like everything in that town just started under like this one man that started a settlement for just freed slaves. And I think it's the craziest story that even though this town, which already has a crazy story, only has 800 people, managed to put out 3 NFL players. You know what I mean?
All relatively in the same time period.
Yeah,
too.
they all currently play. So it's just crazy.
Where in Georgia is
I don't know. Remember, it was just in the
all
middle
I know
of nowhere.
is it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's like
yeah.
literally
I
a street
gotta
that just
find
goes on for miles and it takes you there. So it's just out in the
And
middle of
then
nowhere.
that road turns into Chubb Road.
I just didn't know
once
if you had heard of it because I only heard of it because of that story. I'm sure rarely anyone has.
I might have even passed through it, but there are so many small towns.
Yeah,
in
Georgia's a
Georgia.
pretty big state.
It is huge.
Yeah.
Bro.
All right, so
Like,
here's Chubb Town.
Why don't you just pull it up on the computer?
Oh yeah, I guess I could.
So everyone can see it. But
It's
Yeah.
it looks like it's in East Georgia. I'm gonna pull it up over here. So let's see. There is.
I went to Georgia one time
Atlanta.
for a family reunion, like vacation kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the few. I was pretty little, but one of the few things I remember out there was they had those light bugs like crazy out there one night.
Yes, bro.
Like so was the same? Did you get to see them too?
Yes.
Okay.
That is so beautiful, bro.
Right?
I didn't even know what I was looking at the first time I saw that. I was like, bro, these look like fireflies. I
Yeah.
think that's what they're called.
Right. Yeah. Fireflies.
And I was like, bro, what is happening right now? Like this is real. Georgia is very beautiful.
It is.
Like, and you asked me about like travel and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The places that I've gone have a lot of them have been for like a NSBE convention, like recently. But before that, it was just like family vacation. But me going to Georgia kind of opened my eyes to things that I like about travel.
Mhm.
And when I was out there, because it's like close to the Appalachian Mountains, or it's a part of it really,
Right. Yeah.
like hiking is something that I kind of took a liking
Okay.
to. And just seeing like a lot of natural venues and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so like I would go on jogs and I would see these fireflies and I'm like, bro, what's going on? Sometimes I would go on jogs when I was in Macon, and it was a park literally like 2-3 minutes away from my house, and they were like deer. You could see them from time to time just running around the park or whatever, and it just be like, man, what is, like, this is gorgeous, bro. Even the river, like, because there's so much man-made stuff. I guess it was amazing to me because I'm from Houston,
Yeah.
and there's so much man-made stuff in Houston
Yes.
that you go to a water park and you think that's what, you think somebody came
Yeah.
up with that idea,
Yeah.
and it was just like, let's create a water park, let's create a slide, let's create a wave
Right.
pool, let's create all this stuff, and it was just like, oh, okay, man-made. But then you go to these other places and you're like, no, they copied that from like
Nature.
what actually already is, like, and what already was, and
Right.
that stuff is way more attractive. Like, I
Yeah.
would much rather see a slide with rocks next to it versus a blue slide and some water coming through it, and
Yeah.
people gotta
Right.
wait for a line. And you see somebody standing up there with an umbrella or
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah.
as I travel now, those are things that I like take into account. Like this past spring break, I just went to Corpus Christi.
Okay.
And I took my my little sister and my little cousin over there, and we went to, I forgot what beach we went to, but we went to a little beach and stuff like that. We went to a state park. It was just something like slight, and they hadn't really, seen much like that before, but it was just like different for them, and like it was an opportunity for them to see like even the stuff that we do like in these small spaces, like in our neighborhood, like and stuff like that. When we were getting together with family, we could do this elsewhere and have a lot more room,
Right.
a lot more space, and we can still create our own like vibe. So that's kind of what I look for now when I think about traveling. Like those are places that I look at.
Yeah, nothing is better than nature, and Corpus is like way better than Galveston.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever spent much time
yeah.
in Corpus Christi, but I think it's worth the drive. Like if
Sure.
you
It
really
is.
want to go to the beach, it doesn't really take that long to get to Corpus, and it's just like drastically
From Houston.
superior compared to Galveston. Yeah. And then like if you want to make an even further drive and get down to South Padre, that's like an even better beach.
Yeah,
but
I've been there.
Corpus definitely makes a difference from
Yeah.
Galveston. So
Yeah. Yeah, and being in Houston, like you're right, like it's definitely a concrete jungle here. I mean, there's definitely pockets and a few spaces that I find like, and I like hold
or
them like close
the,
to my
the
I'm like,
arboretum and stuff like that. Yeah.
The arboretum, I'm like, that's like
What is that?
my spot because I shouldn't really be talking about it too much, but but
Yeah.
no, it's a public spot right by Memorial Park. It's actually like a few minutes from here.
Okay.
But it's basically just a nature park. Like it's a conserved like protected area.
But it's like right off 610.
And,
So like
yeah.
you just imagine it's nestled right in the middle of the city, but it's so big and it's so deep that like you can get into it and you don't even hear the freeway anymore.
I mean,
And
you
they
still
just-
hear the freeway
a little
but,
bit,
yeah,
but I mean,
you still hear it.
not.
I mean,
But
you have
not-
to go pretty deep. Yeah,
Yeah, but once
I
you're
literally
deep in the-
tested it. I'm like, all right, let's see how far I can go until I
Right.
don't hear the freeway.
But
But yeah,
there's like gigantic ponds in there. And you just see like just armadillos are just walking around. Turtles are everywhere. Like
yeah.
trees literally everywhere. Like it's basically, it's like your own little nature preserve in the middle of Houston, Texas. It's pretty
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's like got the like picturesque kind of trails with the trees like kind of over you, so
Yeah.
it's like super shaded on the hot days. Like it's a lot of shade, depending on which
Yeah.
trail you're on. But
And there's
yeah, I
benches
love it.
everywhere. Like you could totally just go and do a picnic there or some
Yeah.
shit, so it's
Yeah.
pretty great.
But anyways, yeah. So, but being from Houston, you don't get to wake up and just hit on the highway and see mountains, or you know what I mean, or see giant forests,
It's flat
or
and there's
Flat. I was
buildings
just gonna
everywhere.
say,
Yeah.
it's flat,
yeah. So
too.
unless you go like a good hour out, then you can
Right.
get some nice views of some like kind of valleys and stuff. But it's not much.
Right.
I mean, but you go to Austin, a couple of miles up to,
Sure.
or a couple hours up to Austin, then you're talking like that's much more nature-esque, picturesque kind of stuff.
And Houston doesn't have like a nice water feature. No. Like in Austin, there's Great Lakes all around Austin. Like you
Yeah.
can go to Lake Travis, you're close. You can go to Lake LBJ. You could go to places like Barton Springs. Like there's
Yeah.
all sorts. But I mean like, Chicago. Chicago is a huge metropolis. But you can go swim in Lake Michigan. There's beaches right there on Lake Michigan,
Yeah.
and you can kind of just have this beautiful, pristine beach right outside.
Dude, I
of,
wonder what the bayou, like, how like Buffalo Bayou, like, I mean, Houston has a river running through it pretty much, or a
But it's
bayou running through it.
filthy.
But like, can you imagine like what was it
I mean-
like, like 200 years ago? I wonder if it was like, people are actually swimming in and washing their clothes, and like,
Maybe.
you know what I mean?
But
Like,
now it looks like chocolate milk.
I
Like
know,
now
it's
it's
bad.
fucking disgusting. And I see people fishing out of it, and I'm like, man, I could not eat
seen
shit
that.
out of this water. Like,
yeah. People are catching gars. You showed me a picture.
yeah,
of
people catch
catching
like alligator
up there.
gars in there, and it's just like, first of all, the idea of like falling in there now is terrifying. Now that I know that like alligator gars are in there, but two, it's just like I don't understand why you would fish there. I could never eat anything that
I mean,
came out of that water.
It is like the closest thing to water that you can find,
Yeah.
within a 30-mile radius.
I mean, but there are like man-made places you can fish. Like
No,
you
there
can
are
go
for
to
sure.
parks that, or like
Yeah,
you could go to
sure.
what's that, Lake 288 or whatever it's called, right
Yeah.
off 288. And
Yeah, there's a
you
few
can like go
places.
and do water sports there. But what I'm saying is like Houston doesn't have a nice water feature. I feel like
No.
that would really
Oh, that
like,
would
just take
improve.
us over the top.
It would improve a lot. Yeah.
Like, you live in San Francisco or Oakland, you have the bay right there. Los Angeles, you have, obviously, you're right there on the Pacific Ocean. San Diego, whatever. Now, New York, like the Hudson is gross. So New York is another major city where the water is just disgusting. But I mean, for the most part, most cities are benefited by having a really nice water feature. And we'll just never have that here. On top of that, it's just flat. It's fucking humid. I love Houston, but I have my gripes with Houston,
Yeah, yeah. But that's why, like, whenever he's talking about like
Yeah.
being able to go to Georgia and
That's
see
what I'm
like,
saying. Like that's why it's so
like
nice to
light bulb-
travel and to get out in nature.
yeah, especially being from a city or really any major city. If you're just born and raised inside of that city, you never really got to go out much and see like what like a untouched landscape looks like or untouched forest looks like. Then it really just
Yeah.
blows your mind. So
And my big thing, another thing is like when you're out in the country, I bet even in Macon, like the night sky, you see way more stars than
my
in
God.
Houston. You can't see shit,
I mean, even just the side of the freeways. Like if I'm going down 285, which is like a main highway out there in Georgia, or even I-75, another main highway that you can take going out there in Georgia, kind of like 45 here or 610 here. Like they don't, like if I'm driving down the freeway in Houston, like I see buildings, I see McDonald's, I see
Right.
like infrastructure, I see all these different things. But if I'm driving down 285, for a lot of the time, I just see trees. I just
Yeah.
see like big pine trees, tall as I don't know what, and I'm just like that amazes me. And what's so funny is my coworkers we're so like nonchalant about it because they're used to it. So
Right.
they're like, "What? Like I don't see why you're amazed by this."
Yeah.
I'm literally like they're driving a truck and I'm sitting there in the passenger seat like, "Bruh,
We're out here.
like
Yeah.
what is going on right now?" But it's crazy how like you can be from someplace and you think that everything is so normal,
Yeah.
and everything else that you might see on TV is so abstract until you
Right.
see it and you're in it and you like,
Right.
damn, bro, like this is real. Like
Yeah.
I'm really like right here, right now
Yeah.
at a waterfall. Like, bro,
It's really, really crazy how like the place where you live really just like shapes how your mind works.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really like, I wish I've lived in Houston my entire life. I really wish, you know, sometimes I could have experienced living in multiple places as a kid. But as I've gotten older and I've had the opportunity to travel, like I've told you this, I go to Seattle all the time. I'm constantly in Washington State. And for the most part, wherever you are in the Seattle area, you can pretty much always see, like as you're driving around, Mount Rainier, unless it's cloudy. If the sun is out, you can usually see the mountain. And people are just casually driving around, and there's this gigantic snow-capped volcano, just like, you know, wherever you look, you just like look this way, and bam, gigantic mountainous volcano. People are just driving to work. And like every time I go there, as long as I'm not driving, like if I'm in the passenger seat, like my eyes are just locked on the fucking mountain the whole time we're driving. And I'm like, do y'all see this shit? And everyone's just like, yeah, that's Mount Rainier. And I wish like we had something like that here.
And to that point, there are people like, so I know when I was younger, like going to Galveston was a big deal, going to Galveston Beach. So like even as recent as a couple years ago, like me and my cousins, like, man, we got to get a trip going, go to Galveston, which is fucking 45 minutes away. But we got to get a trip going. We got to go to Galveston. We got to get on the beach and stuff like that. And like that's a big deal here. So if somebody comes to Houston and they're like, hey, what's some good places to go? Like one of the main places that might pop up in your mind is, oh, you should go to Galveston. They'll go to Galveston and be like, what is this? Like, what did you just recommend to me? Like, this is the best y'all got. And then you go to other places and kind of like you were alluding to, like there's stuff that you can't take your eyes off of because you've never seen this before. But everybody that's there is so casual about it. Like that makes, like those big trips to Galveston to me turn into going to, what was it called? Blood Mountain out there in Georgia. And
Blood Mountain? Holy shit.
Wouldn't recommend. It sounds scary. I don't even know. Like looking back, that doesn't make sense for me to go. And I went by myself too.
I gotta look that shit up.
But I went out to Blood Mountain because one of my coworkers had mentioned it. He was like, if you want to go hiking, like this is a good place to go. I didn't have any experience hiking, so I went in running shoes and stuff like that. But when I went, I was like, bro, just driving up the mountain. Like I was already, my level of excitement had already surpassed going to Galveston. Like, and I didn't even get out of the car yet. Yeah. So driving up that mountain, literally driving around, it's like an 8-mile hike, bro. I remember when I was going up, I was like, I didn't realize how like I was gonna lose my breath so quickly, and it was just getting tough. And a dude was like coming behind me. And I was taking a break, but once I saw him coming behind me, I got up like I was just stretching or something. Yeah. And so he was like, "It's your first time?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my first time." And he was like, "Yeah, it's a pretty good hike." And I was like, "How far would you say I'm about up?" Because I was thinking I was so close, bro. I was like, "So how far would you say I'm up?" He was like, "Yeah, you probably about we're a third of the way up right now." I was like, "A third of the way?"
Damn.
And low key. He fabricated it a little bit. We were probably a quarter of the way up.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I was like, bro, this is crazy. But when I got to the top, like you can't even describe that feel. Like you hear the metaphor of making it to the top of the mountain, but once you get to the top, it's like you're looking at other, like it's just scenery that you really can't describe. Like looking at these pictures right now doesn't even do it justice, and that's literally what it looks like. So
you have to see it with your own eye.
Yeah. It's like doing the window in Big Bend. It's like a fucking long ass hike, but then when you get there, it's like that was worth it.
I want to go to Big Bend too. That's my next,
I can't recommend it enough. For real, it's really an incredible park. What a place.
Yeah,
we're going back in October, and like we're gonna kayak through the Santa Elena Canyon. I wanted to do it when we went in February, but the water was too low, and so now I'm just all about going back for the kayaking.
Yeah, that'll be amazing, dude, for sure.
So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And it's in Texas, what people don't even think.
I know.
People don't even know.
I mean, it doesn't feel like it's in Texas because it's a 9-hour drive. But which is crazy that our state is that large, man. Fucking 9 hours, and you're still in the same goddamn state.
I was almost going to go there instead of Corpus Christi. I was like, because I found like some Instagram pages of like places to go in Texas and stuff like that. And so I was like, Big Bend is showing like some really good pictures. So I looked up the drive, and it was like 12 hours. Like the place that I was looking to go was like 12, 15 hours from where I was from. I was like, bro, what? Is
Yeah.
this still in Texas?
I mean, you could have went to Oklahoma, New Mexico, like
And been there
Louisiana.
fast.
You could have went to Florida.
Yes, bro.
You can get to Florida faster than
Faster
you
than-
can Big Bend.
Yeah,
That's
seriously.
crazy.
Think about how
So you could have went to
insane that
multiple
is.
other states versus
That's
even if it's
really,
in Texas.
really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably you can get to Georgia faster.
You could. I think
Yeah, of
Georgia's
course.
like
I mean, Georgia's closer
11,
than-
12-hour
Yeah.
drive.
Damn, it's crazy.
And if you were to drive north from here, you could probably get all the way through Oklahoma, shorter than it would take you to get to Big Bend.
Yeah, but who wants to do that?
I don't know. Well, if you make it to the other side, you're in what? Kansas?
Yeah,
Kansas
who wants
is
to go
alright.
there? Like, no one's going north.
I guess. Yeah.
No one wants to drive north. It's either east or west.
When I was going to college, like I had applied to a bunch of different schools, and one of the schools that I got into, I didn't apply to anything outside of Texas because I couldn't afford out-of-state tuition. So I was like, all right. And the furthest away school that I got into was Texas Tech. And I thought about like, oh, what the fuck would that be like if I had to drive to the Panhandle every time I wanted to like go back and forth between
Yeah.
home and school.
Yeah, it's a drive.
I just like, I ended up not going. One, because Texas Tech wasn't the best school for me. And then two, it was just like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to school in the fucking Panhandle, I mean, it would have been like a legit fucking road trip
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I've taken that trip a couple times because my good friend Anthony Sosa lives there, and yeah, it's a trip. One of the coolest things about the drive is you can see like the giant fields of wind turbines. It looks pretty cool.
Mhm.
So that's about it though. Most of it, the
Yeah.
rest of it is just pretty flat valleys. It's not much, but you get to see those. It's pretty cool. You're like, damn, humans are pretty amazing.
I know.
But then,
I love wind farms. I don't
yeah.
know why. Something about a good wind
weird.
farm is just so cool.
Yeah, and then but out there, dude, yeah, it's just a desert. It's just like it's a desert canyon. You're just
Right.
like, what is this place? And it's just small, like it's basically just built around a college.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just little small farmers
Yeah.
markets and stuff like that.
That's
But
what
it's
I've
like
heard.
it's just like nothing out there.
Yeah.
But it's still a cool spot. It's got its
Yeah.
own little vibe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was driving to Wisconsin and I was coming through Kansas in like the dead of the night, like fucking, it was probably like 10 o'clock at night. It was like pitch black out there. And Kansas has like a lot of like sort of rolling hills, like there's no mountains or anything like that, but there's like little small rolling hills as you're driving. And it's pitch black and we're coming over this hill and like everything looked black. And then as we started coming down the hill, you just saw like 200, maybe more than 200 red dots just like flash. And it was just like all these wind turbines just in the dark.
Oh,
and they all
that's
had red
crazy.
lights on them. And so it was just pitch black. You come over this hill and then you just watch. They would just flash. Like you couldn't see it. It looked like they were just floating. And if you were flying through there, you would never be able to see those wind turbines unless they had those lights on them. And I just thought like, holy shit, we literally have a giant wind farm, hundreds of
Yeah.
windmills, And I mean, if you look at them, they are massive.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever see them on the highway, like them carrying just like one
Just
wing.
the propeller blade.
Yeah, just like one wing is on like a giant 18-wheeler. You're like, damn.
It's
the
crazy.
scale is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever seen when they break in the wind? Have you ever
No.
seen? If you ever get the chance, maybe I can pull it up later. But like sometimes in a windstorm where it's like 125 mile an hour winds, it'll spin the blades really fast and then they'll like snap off, and it's just like the amount of energy that comes out of this thing. It's ridiculous. But just watching one of those pieces just snap. I'll pull it up. You guys talk. I'll pull up a video of a
Yeah,
wind
it sounds
turbine
pretty
breaking
epic.
because
That's
it's yeah.
crazy,
Damn.
bro.
Because I mean, think about how colossal they are. You know what I mean? Think about what it
Yes.
would take to break that.
And you were talking about driving, like in the dark,
Yeah.
on like one of those hills. I laugh because I remember when my mom, well, all my family came out to Georgia at the end of either my first or second term. I think it was my second term out there, and we were going to drive from there to Florida, and so they stayed out there for a day or two, and we were driving around at night. And one thing about, I guess, I don't know if it's just all of Georgia, but most of Georgia that I've been to, like, they don't have a lot of street lights. So, like, my mom was freaking out because it was
Right.
dark and we were going up and down these hills, and, like, there are deer signs right there that
Oh,
you see
yeah,
at the
dangerous.
last second. So she was like, I can't drive here no more. And that was just funny to me because I was like, man, like, it's crazy how different literally just driving can be
Yeah.
from one place to another, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like whenever you experience pitch blackness for the first time, if you're ever out in the country or
Bro.
anywhere where there's no like any kind of like big lights anywhere near you, and if you ever just like turn your lights off or just like maybe just step out of your car, turn your car off, and just look up or just look around. Like, you start to get appreciation for, like, damn, light is pretty awesome. I like my light in the city, you know, like, or stuff like that, because, like, but then you're just not used to it. I mean, I'm sure the people who live out there are used to it, and it's probably calming. Like, there's something to it that's definitely very beneficial, just to, like, see what pitch blackness is like, and you kind of get the appreciation for the sun and stuff. You're like, it's scary, man. It puts you in a different mindset.
It does, because on the flip side, that's why people say like big city lights and stuff like that, because there's so many lights when you go to like a lot of metropolitan areas. It's just like, that's natural. You're used to that. A street light every 100 feet, 200 feet or something like that is like normal. But in other places, like, you'll be lucky to get one like between a mile or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then think like maybe 0.5%, not even 1% of like human history, we haven't had those kind of lights.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like, that's what most human experience has been like throughout all of humans. Is like, at nighttime it's pitch black. You know that. Like, maybe you have a candle or two, or maybe you have something that you can light up a fire, but that's it. And it's just pitch black, and you just deal with it. So. And
it tells you how spoiled we are, and how used to like all of these different like benefits we are, that we don't even know what it's like to not have all of this shit. But if it was all to be taken away, like, I think the pandemic was probably the closest thing to it. Just like freedom and like feeling comfortable getting out and going to do stuff all the time whenever you wanted to at a whim. Just having that taken away, like, people were like, what the fuck? Like, I can't do this, bro. Like, there were people that were literally losing their mind because they was like,
oh yeah,
I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything.
Yeah. I still haven't heard it talked about enough, like the amount of depression and like people. Did you ever find that video?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pulled it up.
All right, let's watch that video real quick.
So, yeah, put that on screen. I'll give you a quick background. So this was in Denmark, which is actually where a lot of these are built. A lot of these are built in Europe. I didn't know that, and I found that out recently. Anyway, so all of these windmills, apparently they have a braking mechanism that slows the blades down from hitting a certain speed limit. Well, this was a windstorm in Denmark, and the braking mechanism that slows the blades down on this windmill became, non-operational, so it could not slow itself down, and it was in the middle of a storm. You can watch what happens to it.
Oh, it's spinning so fast. Holy shit. It just exploded.
I know.
If anyone is listening to this, just type in on YouTube windmill explosion or something.
The title of this video is windmill/wind turbine explosion.
This thing literally
one more time. And you can see how fast it's going. And then it just
literally snapped. I guess one of the blades hit and snapped it snapped it in half.
And then look at all the dirt that kicks up when this thing hits the ground. Like, you can tell this thing must weigh so much. Like, look at this.
Huge, bro.
Damn.
Like I said, if you see people, like, if you see those trucks carrying just the actual what are they called? Wings, I guess. I don't know.
Wings or blades or whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
If you see like the trucks carrying those blades, like, you can see how big those are. To see them moving that fast, bro.
I wonder what
that
they're
was
made
scary.
out of.
It was scary looking.
Are they metal? I mean, what, like, and if they are metal, what, aluminum? I mean, what do you think they're made out of? Because they have to be.
Idea.
Yeah, they're so interesting. But I mean, think about the amount of energy that they generate.
Yeah, they probably generated so much on that wind. At least it went out with the flurry.
They
Probably got a good boost of. Oh, we got a whole bunch of voltage coming.
5 days worth of it. I know, right? Shit. And it's so crazy that so many people thought that the winter storm in Texas was like the result of, like, when everyone's power went out and shit. Everyone was like, "Oh, those damn windmills froze over. It's stupid green energy." Like, I just can't believe that shit. But anyway, yeah, I just think those windmills are super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
When you brought that up, that reminded me like of like people talking about center point energy during that time, and me working for a power company. I kind of know the dynamics and stuff like that. And from my understanding, center point is only a distribution company, so they don't generate the power. They don't like have possession or ownership of like windmills or anything that creates the energy. So when they had to like decide who gets what, when, where, and why, people were like, oh, they just fucking around. They don't care about us, blah, blah, blah. I was like, on one hand, I don't know how they're deciding who gets it, but I do know that they literally have a limited supply and they can't create it. So I was like, damn, like, Centerpoint's in a tough spot until people know who actually like generates the power. Centerpoint's gonna be looking bad for a
Right,
little bit.
right. Yeah, and if you don't know, the common person is just gonna be thinking, oh, they're
Goddamn
just yeah.
Centerpoint. Because like, so I don't have Centerpoint is not my provider or my electric company. But when you look at your bill, it says like Centerpoint fees or whatever,
Right.
because it's like they're the main distribution company for the area. So everyone just assumes Centerpoint is like the power company.
Yeah.
The energy is coming from here. Because if you look at your bill, you're still seeing a Centerpoint fee, even if that's not the company that you have your contract through. And so, yeah, I mean, that must have been really frustrating because there's literally nothing they could have done. Can't make more electricity, just, make more,
Not to create a tangent, but the struggles of being a distribution engineer is like, it's crazy because a lot of people don't know. Obviously, the common person, like you said, doesn't know a lot about power distribution or anything like that. So you'll get phone calls of customers complaining about some stuff that it's like I don't think you know how this works.
Right.
And so like it's crazy. I've seen situations where like people are getting yelled at, cussed out, dogs chasing people. Like it's crazy how like complex that can be because you're working with people again who don't know why things are the way that they are. They don't know that if they have a problem like lights flickering or something like that, that it's not a simple, flip of a switch and you're good now. Like you have to go back and look at the record, see what's happening not only with this house but other houses in the area, looking at like equipment and stuff like that, which can take weeks depending on the different people you got to reach out to and stuff like that. But that same person will call you back the next day and be like, y'all ain't fixing my power. I'm using that accent because that country slang is something else.
Right.
But it's crazy how you can like deal with a lot of customers because you have to like.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I've seen some enraged customers. I was supposed to be fixing like a pole, like one of those power poles right there. And I was literally just a part of the project of replacing old poles. And I had my work truck. They gave me a work truck. So I pulled up in front of this lady's house because that's where the pole was. So I have to look at the pole tag to get the number, look at the size of it and stuff like that to see like what I need to put into the system so we can replace it with the same pole or a pole that's better fit like for that position.
Right.
So the lady comes out and she was like, y'all about to turn my power off? I just paid my bill. I was like, whoa. I was like, no, ma'am. I'm just looking at the pole. She was like, you sure? I was like, yes. I got to get the fuck out of here,
Right.
bro.
Bro, electricity is this precious thing, man. And once
Yes,
it's gone,
bro.
it's like, that's my life. You're just
Yes,
taking my
bro.
life away.
Seriously, man.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Especially now, like, a lot of homes don't have gas appliances, like no natural gas going in. So, like, everything is based on
Yes,
your
all
stove,
electric.
your fucking dryer. You can't even have hot fucking water without electricity. So
Right.
it's like, I mean, people need it. It is absolutely a major necessity.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And it's weird to think about, like, electricity is such a seamless part of our lives now. You just plug something into a wall and it starts charging or it starts operating. But it's like, think about the infrastructure that goes into supplying electricity to a country the size of America. Think about how many miles of wires are just crisscrossing all across the fucking country. Like, it's really amazing to think about all of the engineering that has gone into.
And those are the ones you can see. There's, I'm
Those-
sure, a ton
yeah.
underground, right?
Yes, a lot.
I mean, just
underground.
think about that. Think about that.
That's pretty mind blowing to even begin.
Bro, one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen in my life. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of a place called Block Island?
I don't think so.
Block Island is a really beautiful place. It's off the coast of Rhode Island. It's like 13 miles into the Atlantic Ocean off the
Okay.
coast of Rhode Island. And if you're in Rhode Island, you can take a ferry there. Some people like have little houses there. There's restaurants there and a couple hotels, and it's basically just like a vacation place. You can.
Okay.
It's a very small island, but it has beaches all around it, and people go there to stay at a hotel or they have a little beach house there or whatever. Anyway, I was in Rhode Island for work back in 2018, and I had like a whole week where there was nothing I needed to do because I was there for a music festival on one weekend and then a music festival the next weekend. So the weekdays in between, I had nothing to do. And so I thought, well, all right, I'll go to Block Island. So I went out there, and you can just hop on the ferry. I'm riding the ferry out there, and it's 13 miles off the coast. So I was like, how is this place getting electricity? As you get closer to the island, there are windmills in the ocean and just wires going to the island from the windmills. Like,
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if there's also, because I know there's like some underwater electric cabling that, powers things sometimes, but just the idea of like these windmills power this island 13 miles off the coast of the mainland has electricity, and you just watch like these gigantic wind turbines in the middle of the fucking ocean, just powering this island. I just thought it was
It's
the
amazing.
coolest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also seen underwater turbines, like ones that like kind of like I guess situated in certain currents.
Really? Yeah.
And yeah, if the currents come in some kind of way, it generates. You know what I mean? Some kind of
yeah.
power. I don't know how popular they are, how many there are, but I've seen a couple videos of. So that makes me curious too. But they must have some kind of other influx of energy other than that too, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, put
I
that
don't
on the
think I've
screen,
seen
Adam.
those.
So this is Block Island.
Oh, okay.
And as you pull up, you just see this in the ocean.
Wow.
Like, isn't that crazy?
It is. So I know at Georgia Power, I don't know all the methods of generation.
Yeah.
I want to say that they use wind, but I know they use hydraulic power, which I think is more so what you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's water.
And they also use coal as well.
Okay.
So I think those are like the three main methods are like wind, hydraulic, or water,
Wow.
and coal. That
So they gotta
use to
step up
generate
the
power.
solar game there then.
Yeah.
You gotta get that
They
solar.
are. They actually, that's what they're looking
Yeah.
to like expand on the solar part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be huge. That's
But-
probably the last thing a lot of energy companies are getting right. Is the solar is probably one of the last.
Yeah,
few-
that's like the new wave
Right.
almost. Like that's where companies are kind of trying to learn to optimize, pretty much generating and like saving energy. That's like the new fad. So
Yeah.
like a lot of companies, even Southern Company as a whole, they're trying to get out of the old ways, which
Mm-hmm.
include like using coal, and creating ash ponds with that, and using hydraulic energy, which is somewhat dependable, but sometimes can be. Like they're realizing that solar is like a lot more consistent.
What is a ash pond?
So I can't explain it 100% because I haven't seen one in a few years, but pretty much what it is like as they burn that coal to create that energy, that ash pond is what's left over. So it's literally like, if you think of a regular lake or pond, it's like a big pond of ash.
Oh.
So there's like huge ponds of ash that are left there.
Holy
that-
And what do they do with it?
Now they're cleaning it out. That's why they're moving away from coal. But before, it would just sit there and they would pile it up.
Whoa.
So it's like, and I've been to one. I don't know how much I'm supposed to be talking about this, but so I'll keep it limited. But I've been to one and it was huge. I mean, like literally the ground that we were driving on, I was thinking like maybe it was just like a paved road. It was ash. It was straight ash. That's how like
Oh,
deep
and you
it
didn't even
was.
realize it.
I didn't realize
Whoa.
it until I got to the top. And I was like, okay, this is the ash point. Then I realized the texture doesn't change for the whole way that we came up
Wow.
here. They're huge, bro. And
It's insane.
And I'm not going to say the last part, but it's good to move away from that kind of stuff. It's not good for the environment. So
Wow.
Yeah, can
shout
imagine.
out to Southern Company and Georgia Power for thinking about the environment.
Yeah, man. It's a big deal. Big
And,
deal.
I mean, we always think of electricity as like a really clean energy source, but there's so much that goes into generating electricity,
Yeah.
whether it's like, we're talking about lithium ion batteries and like all the resources that have to get put into mining the lithium to make the, it's just like,
Oh.
what?
All right, this is the perfect time to bring up Us, the movie about
Us? Yeah.
about Jordan Peele.
The Jordan Peele movie?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was watching interviews. I watched it for the first time recently, like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and don't ask why. I just get
I-
to movies when I do. But anyways,
Well, yeah.
Anyways,
I was like, Adam, you got to watch
I know,
Us, right? Yeah.
Anyways, I watched like the interviews of Jordan Peele afterwards, and he was talking about like the like one of the underlying meanings is that like we don't always think about, especially being America, U.S. also like us in U.S. United States is kind of like a thing he has going with that, and like being in the U.S. like we don't think about all of the technologies and all of the comforts and leisures that we have that we're blessed with,
Right.
and like we do think about having them, but we don't think about the other side of like how how iPhones are made in slave labor or you know what I mean, or like people working in sand mines with or just all of these like gruesome like horrific things that you just don't see or do, and that's probably one of them. Like obviously our environment being destroyed, we're seeing that every day, but you're not like seeing it like the actual like the actual like animals being killed or the actual people chipping away at your sand mines. It's creating your lithium ion batteries or whatever it is. It's like that's like an underlying part of that movie. But it's also like it's a good point. You talk about the the ash ponds, and You're like, man, I didn't even know that existed.
Neither did
I didn't even know that existed, and I'm over here using the benefits of that, right? So it's
Right.
like, it's just like some of those things that we're just so like naive and blind to just on an everyday basis, you know?
Yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
that's just a great movie.
It really
Yeah.
is a great movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's really Jordan Peele. I really wish he would give us another movie soon, because Get Out was a work of art. Us was fucking amazing. I need another Jordan Peele movie. You know.
Yeah. And he's got to be one of the few people who's like successfully, at least like had a big time, you know, accomplishments and achievements from being like the writer, director, and producer of one film, especially being African American. Like,
Yeah,
that's huge, right? Like
is.
for him to be able to do that, like
It
on his
is.
own, and like, to me, he's a genius, bro. Like
He
that
is.
dude is a genius.
I was watching. So I used to, when I was younger, I used to watch Mad TV, and I didn't realize that that's where I recognized him from
Yep.
first.
Yeah.
But he was a lot on Mad TV in like later years, and I forget the Asian actor.
Bobby Lee.
Bobby Lee.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Bobby Lee was so funny, bro. But I saw that they did like an interview later, and they were talking about like their days working at Mad TV and some other company afterwards. But they were talking about, Bobby Lee was talking to Jordan Peele about pretty much how he knew that he had a gift for that kind of stuff, because the way that he initially approached the skits and the way that he kind of took his time writing and putting stuff together, like he could see that work ethic before, and he felt like it was kind of being boxed in. And I think that when he got the show Key and Peele, that was like an opportunity for him to really just like dive into that and just do whatever. And so now that he gets to kind of pivot into movies, he's had an interesting journey to be able to kind of appreciate and then practice, and now just implement everything that he's been able to kind of work on up to this point.
For sure.
And that's one of the funniest fucking shows. Like, Key and Peele is some of the, like, just most original fucking comedy. You know, like, some of those skits, I'm like, I don't even know how you guys came up with this shit, but I'm so glad that you did, because this shit is amazing.
It's awesome.
And Mad TV was amazing as well. Like, Mad TV was genuinely really fucking funny.
Yeah.
And then everyone that branched out and did something off of Mad TV, like Reno 911 was like a offshoot show that came from people that were on Mad TV. Reno 911 is fucking hilarious, you know. And
I actually
they're
just
bringing it
realized
back.
that was a show.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a movie. I just
Yeah,
realized
they did the movie.
Oh my god.
But so it started off as a show, then they made a movie, and now they're doing the show again. They've brought the
Okay.
show
Oh,
back.
really?
Reno 911 is back, yeah, and it's like the same cast and everything. So
Yeah. It sounds like
I miss OG Comedy Central.
yeah,
you know?
that's
Yeah.
classic. Like Jordan Peele sounds like Kid Cudi basically talks about like whenever he's making like an album project, it's like basically somebody's like funding him to make like a piece of art. Like, you know, like back in the day, like
You get commissioned.
yeah, like basically like the churches would commission artists to make a painting or something.
Yeah.
So it's like basically, all right, someone's just gonna give you this stack of cash or whatever you need, materials. All right, now make us this, right? And it does, like Kid Cudi, like, and I'm sure a lot of artists feel similar, but the way he talked about it kind of like resonated with me. And it sounds like the same thing with, you know, I'm sure Comedy Central gave them a ton of cash. All right, create something. The same with like a Dave Chappelle show. You know, it's like it's like you're giving somebody, all right, we see a genius in this person, or we see this guy has something like some kind of talent, or he can like produce something. All right, let's give him this amount of money or an opportunity and see what happens. And like you can kind of get these like crazy shows like Key and Peele that's like very unique and different, and like you can kind of see it's like that's him, like he's putting his like thumbprint into that show, right? Like, because you don't get that from anyone else. Like, you've never seen any show like it. So it's like, and especially his movies, like his movies are very unique, and like you can tell that's him. Now, and the same with like Tarantino, and like you see this with great people and great artists. Like anytime they make something, that's him. Like anytime I listen to Kid Cudi, that it's like, who else sounds like that? You know what I mean?
No
Stuff
one
like that.
else could have made Get Out.
Right. Exactly.
No one. Because like I could imagine like other directors doing it and it being like a jokey, stupid movie. Like you look at that plot and it, but I mean the way he executed that story and told that movie has got to be one of the, not only just like one of the most original, but just one of the most gripping fucking movies. It's so wild. You would never imagine someone would make that movie, but he's just amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Even just the musicality, like like it's just crazy how many different things you can put together. And to your point, like those projects, those kind of shows like the Dave Chappelle Show, like Key and Peele, like you can almost kind of tell the difference between a network coming up with a show and a network giving that
artist control. Yeah,
exactly.
Tell me why every like ABC show you watch looks the exact same. Like that looks like they just came out with that last year or something.
Exactly,
or those kind of shows. Yeah, they look the exact same. Looks like the same
they
writers,
just like
directors,
copy
everything.
and paste that like sitcom formula, and they like okay, different actors, but it just looks the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you can even see it when you look at like TV shows as they evolve. Like if I look at like some of the shows I would watch, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and compare that to like the Jamie Foxx show. Yeah. Some of those shows have the same like general plot. Right. The general thing let's have a sex scene, like a cancer episode or something like that, or let's have a basketball episode, or let's have this type of episode. It's like a cookie cutter print, and the only thing that they allow to change is like the creativity and with how that actor acts. Right. So they don't give them full control to be able to say like, no, the scene should really look like this. Like the music should really sound like this. The camera quality should really look like this. We should zoom in on this. It's just like a whole different like ball game when you allow people who are that creative to be able to just take control and do what they do. Sometimes it might come up like, I don't know, but
but we should celebrate that too, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because that allows the growth. That's how you're able to get better. Is like if you have that bad project, now you can kind of build off and be like, okay, I know what went wrong here.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of shit. Like you look at like Martin, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the Jamie Foxx show. Like you see a lot of that. But you know, it's just when people are given that creative control, that like Dave Chappelle, he was only going to do the Chappelle show as long as it was actually the Chappelle show. You know, he had the creative control, and he got out of there when he saw that going out the window, and thus we only have 2 seasons of the Chappelle show. But those 2 seasons might be some of the funniest television that's ever been created. You know what I mean? And so it's like you've kind of seen the ebb and flow of like how shows have either gone away or they've continued, but they've just gone downhill. Like SNL, the level of the quality of writing on SNL, I've just over the years I've just watched it slowly go down and down to where it's like, if I see a funny episode of SNL, I'm genuinely like surprised. I'm like, whoa, all right, that was a good episode. And it usually is based on like how good the host is. Like this last season of SNL was super whack. The Elon Musk episode might be one of the cringiest episodes of television I've ever seen. Yeah. But like the first episode of that same season was Eddie Murphy. And that shit was fucking amazing, you know? So it's just like sometimes it's, you know, built around like the quality of the host and how much effort or how much input they let the host have towards like planning the skits. But it's just like SNL has really gone downhill, and you can just see it's all about quality of writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we should call out more stuff like that. Like, I mean, you see it with like Disney when they're taking over all these movies and they're basically making remakes. And stuff like that, and you're just like destroying certain like genres and certain series, and you're just like, man, that sucks.
But the thing is, they're making money.
I know, and that's why we got to stop supporting stuff like that. Like anytime we see like corporate type, like because it's supposed to be art, right? It's supposed to be art. It's supposed to be creative. It's supposed to be like this thing, and now it's not. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
they're making it not that anymore.
Stop
you know?
giving us different versions of like Mulan and shit. Just give us a new, interesting character.
I know, exactly.
That's very true.
Yes.
Like, okay, we're going to take these classic Disney princess movies and we're going to make them live action. Yeah. And it's like Aladdin. We didn't need a live action Aladdin. We didn't need a live action Mulan.
It was cool. Will Smith was the
We didn't need a live action Beauty and the Beast. Like, we didn't need this shit.
No, right.
And then the Mulan one, they like, all right, they called it Mulan, right? The character's name is Mulan. For the most part, the story somewhat similar. They scrubbed out like major characters.
Dude, that movie made me really mad. Honestly,
I haven't seen it.
They're no longer even fighting the Huns, right? Now
it's
like some witch.
They took away the dragon.
Mushu the dragon is gone.
Mushu the dragon was gone.
Shang the love interest is gone. Whatever the main villain's name was, like the leader of the Hun army, gone. So stupid.
They changed it
and then
completely.
they took all the music out. So it wasn't even a musical anymore. It was just a fucking action movie.
It was not good.
Why didn't they just make a new story about some new character and make an action movie?
Yeah. No, it was not good.
The Last Airbender movie. Yeah. What the fuck was that, you know? One of the worst movies ever. The Dragon Ball Z movie, Dragon Ball Evolution.
I never saw that.
Yeah. Don't. It's the worst movie ever made. So it's just like, why? I guess because they just think, oh, it's a quick payday.
Yeah, it's definitely purely for the cash. purely. You can just tell, right? When you watch it,
But
you're just
how
like,
do you get people to stop? Because like you keep saying like, oh, we have to show them that they can't do this. But there's no way you're gonna ever be able to make people stop going to these.
It's a hopeful dream.
I mean, imagine if instead of giving us remakes and shit, they were using that time to plan unique, interesting new stories.
Yeah.
I'd be way more excited to spend my money on that.
God
Same. But anyways, that's why we gotta appreciate guys like Quentin Tarantino.
Sure.
The guys like the Stanley Kubricks of the world. The what I mean? The
Christopher
geniuses.
Nolan,
Christopher
making
Nolan,
movies like
he's
Inception
awesome.
and Tenet and
Awesome, yeah. Great. Those guys stand out, right? They stand out amongst like everyone else. It's like these,
Jordan Peele. Yeah.
Jordan Peele,
You
they
can
stand
say
out.
this is a Spike Lee movie. This is a
Right,
Jordan Peele
exactly.
movie.
Spike
This is a
Lee's
Quentin
incredible.
Tarantino
And
movie.
people that are just like really, really creative, like Donald Glover. Like Atlanta is one of.
Yeah,
there's
that's
not
awesome.
another single show on TV like Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's cool.
So I mean, we just gotta like make sure we support those people.
Yeah,
It's
those
the only
people
thing we
gotta
can
be
do.
support. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy though, man. All right, so then what do we think about Space Jam 2 then?
I don't know what about it.
I mean, technically it's not a reboot.
what about
Technically it's its own story.
I'm probably not.
Is it whack though? Like, or do you put Space Jam 2 in that category of like, we don't need this shit? Why did y'all make this? Like,
I mean, it
are
seems
you
like
gonna
it's
watch
gonna-
it? It comes out next month. Are you
Yeah.
gonna watch Space Jam 2?
I can just go ahead and just say it's probably gonna be cheesy. It's probably gonna be a little. I don't know.
What character did they take out? They took out Pepe Le Pew,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I heard about that.
What, because of what, racial or
Like
something or
no.
because
Gender?
of like the same reason that like you can't listen to Baby It's Cold Outside, like the way he
was very
Promiscuous?
persistent.
yeah there you go, yeah, and the way he like forces himself on whatever
Yeah.
the female cat's name is.
Dude, that's another thing with like those old Disney films. Have you ever gone back and like watched like YouTube videos of like
Oh, it's
Like-
crazy, man. Yeah.
what do you call it? I guess Easter eggs or something of like
Yeah.
those videos? Dude, the original Aladdin, there's some sketchy shit going on in that movie,
yeah.
I
bro.
haven't seen that.
It's good. Like, yeah, I just watched like YouTube. Well, first, like, I just went back and watched it because, like, I just knew, like, okay, Disney's known for some weird stuff. You know, growing up, you never know that.
Subliminal
Yeah,
messages.
a ton of
Yeah.
subliminal
Oh my
messages. They're just known for it, right? And so, like, I was like, all right, let me just watch this objectively and just see what I see, right? And there was multiple times I was like, what? They did? They said that, and they like, you know, the way they how do you say, like, portray people.
Yeah.
Like as like they'll portray a certain kind of people or a certain race or certain things like in different ways, like the way they'll draw them, the way they'll act, the way they'll talk, like all of these things like is really important whenever you like stand back and look at it, you're like, whoa. So now my childhood, like, you know, like if I've never met someone from the Middle East or something and I watch that movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's my idea of Middle Eastern, you know what I mean, as a kid. But it's like conditioning at such a young age, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of little things like that, like drinking, like alcohol, like there's a whole bunch of little things like that, and it's like, whoa, it kind of blows your mind, like the amount of stuff that was going into that, because they had to like actively think, okay, let's make this apart. They have to draw it. They have to think about how are we going to portray this. Like, it's not just happenstance that those things happen. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like they're really planning, like, and plotting shit. Like, so it's like, were those people like racist? Were they, you know, what was going on there? So it's like, there's a lot.
I recently like heard something of that nature, and I read like it was just like one little article, and they were talking about how even in like old cartoons and stuff like that, Bugs Bunny, stuff like that, like if an explosion would happen and the person had a black face, like they would talk completely different from their normal character. They would talk slower. They would try to talk like what black people are portrayed to talk, like just like they don't know what they're talking about, stuff like that. And I put some of that stuff together. I was like, wow, bro.
And it's like being watched by kids, and it's just like subliminally soaking up in their
Yes.
brain. They're like, oh,
Exactly, bro.
they don't even realize that they're like putting the dots together. But like,
you don't have the context as a
Right.
kid. You
Yeah.
don't. You just don't. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, if just for fun, if you ever just like want to go down a YouTube like
yeah,
rabbit
I
hole, just
probably
look up
will.
like Disney Channel, look up Disney Channel, like I guess what you call Easter eggs or
no,
like
not
random
even
what would
Disney
you-
Channel, just like
or
Disney,
not Disney Channel, Disney movies.
Disney movies,
Yeah, sorry.
hidden subliminal.
Yeah, subliminal
you just type
meanings,
in
yeah.
subliminal messages.
And you'll find some crazy stuff. man.
like
Crazy.
in Lion King when they're looking up at the stars and like you can see like some of the stars spell out sex.
Yeah.
Whatever movie
heard
that
that.
is, where there's like some Disney movie where there's like these two mice and they're like flying around in this like sardine can and they're like flying around the city, and if you like pause it at a certain time, you can see like in one of the windows of one of the buildings in the city there's two people having sex. Like the priest in Aladdin has like a boner for like 2 seconds during the marriage scene.
Yes, bro, it's wild, bro.
In The Little Mermaid, the underwater castle, one of the spires of the castle is shaped like a dick. Like it's all kinds of.
It's really obvious once you look at it. You're like, oh, that's
but as
obviously
a kid,
what it
as
is.
an innocent child, it would have never been apparent to you.
Right.
But if you see it now, it's obvious. Yeah, so weird.
Yeah. Also at the beginning of those movies now, if you have like a Disney Plus app or something, if you watch some of those old movies, they'll put like at the very beginning, before the movie starts, like a little warning message saying, hey, the views or reasoning these were made originally, basically like a warning saying like, yeah, we know some of the stuff in here is going to be like inappropriate.
Yeah.
And we're just warning you beforehand. And it's quick too. It's like 5 seconds. And you can't rewind it to go read back.
You
have
can't?
No, I tried to. Yeah, I tried to like pause it to. I was like, "What is
They
this?"
like get that shit in real quick, and they're
Yeah,
like, "All right."
you have to restart the movie to see it again. It's like so stuff like that.
All right,
Just like,
well,
come on. But
they should definitely make you able to. You should be able to pause it and rewind to read it. But
like the
I
fact
do
that they
think,
have to put that before
Right.
you have to watch the movie now, it's like, whoa.
That's
But I will
crazy.
say that I would rather them do that than them just remove the movie altogether.
For sure.
You know
well,
what I mean?
they've taken out a ton of scenes and added scenes. Like on Aladdin, they took out like one scene where, who is the evil genie wizard guy?
Oh,
What's his name? I forget his name.
Jafar?
Jafar.
Yeah.
There's like one scene in the original film where he's like basically raising hell and it's like fire and it's like demons. It looks like some evil shit, right? They took that out completely. And then they added like a roller coaster scene to make it go with like the roller coaster ride in Disney Park.
Oh my god!
Dude, stuff like that.
That's
I'm just like,
crazy.
come
We'll
on, man.
remove the offense and make money.
Yeah,
we'll
dude,
profit.
It's crazy. But anyways,
Yeah, it's really
random.
interesting, man. As we get further and further in time, though, there's gonna be more and more stuff that's like up for cancellation. You know, like as we become more and more sensitive, like eventually more stuff is just gonna start getting removed until things that seem normal 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you go back and watch The Office, which isn't even an old show, and you'll see them make certain jokes, and you're like, they could not do this in 2021.
for sure.
Even though this
For
was
sure.
only like 10 years ago, they could not do this right now.
for sure.
So it's really interesting. One of my favorite like things where someone has gone back and fixed something is, I don't know if you've watched episodes of Dragon Ball Z, but have you seen what they've done to Mr. Popo?
No.
All right, you understand
The
that Mr.
original
Popo.
Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Because he's in there
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Mr. Popo is obviously an insane-looking character.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, yeah, he's like all
He's
black.
jet black
Yeah.
with bright red lips. If you go
Yeah.
back and watch it now, he's blue with orange lips.
Oh, I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, Mr. Popo
Yeah.
no longer.
I mean, he does look very weird. You're just like, come on, man.
Yeah, and it's
what
like
is
there's
this?
no. I don't care if this shit was made in Japan and y'all didn't know. There's no way you couldn't have known.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For sure.
I didn't even think about that character.
No, yeah, you don't as a kid because
You
like,
don't think of it
I
because
feel
you're
like-
innocent. Yeah.
Yeah, as kids, I don't think any kid is ever look at race as something other than like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I think very rarely do you have a kid who's like, oh, he's different than me. But as a kid, every kid is a kid. Like they're all, you know what I mean? They're all
Yeah.
All right,
someone
Adam,
to play
put this on screen. On the left is the original Mr. Popo that we all knew
yeah.
growing up. That if you go back and watch a currently airing, like,
Yeah.
you know, if somebody rebroadcast Dragon Ball Z, he's now blue with orange lips.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's nuts.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, but it's better than like Dragon Ball Z being canceled altogether. Like it's
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
It's just really weird to think that like we didn't even register that as children at all.
No.
But now you look back at Mr. Popo as an adult and you're like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think that's a sign to say like racism is taught, not
Oh, yeah.
something that's like a human.
Children are not born racist.
It's not
yeah.
human nature by any means.
Right.
But
crazy.
it is like the tribal, but like I think where you do start getting to it, like it is taught, but it's also like a tribal thing. Like this is my group of people. Like this is where I'm from. Like,
Yeah.
and that's where. So it's like same. You see it with like soccer teams and you know obviously
Sure.
like nationalism and stuff. So it's like, yeah, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, very
Crazy shit.
strange. But
No, I like the topic. I do. I like the topic.
it's so weird because everyone just associates Disney as being like the family company, and it's
Nah,
like
Disney's sus.
they have the nerve to like try and act like they didn't do all that wild shit, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But to think like they're so big and now they own everything.
They own everything.
They own ESPN. They own all the news.
They own
major
ABC,
news.
ESPN. They own.
That's crazy.
But
bro.
to think like that, like they had that type of influence back then, and now,
Right.
like they're still running shit.
21st Century
Yeah, bro.
Fox Studios. They own that now. They, Marvel, Star Wars,
Yeah,
all that shit.
it's crazy.
But I think the Space Jam 2 movie is gonna be a little cheesy for my taste.
I think it will too. I think it's gonna lean more like kid friendly.
And another
Yeah.
thing is like, so I sort of had this idea. I'm sure millions of people had this idea, but if they were going to make a Space Jam 2 in 2021, your average kid probably knows who Bugs Bunny is and Donald Duck, but for the most part, they're not overly familiar with these characters.
Sure.
I feel like they could have been way more successful if the new Toon Squad was like fucking SpongeBob and like the Fairly Odd Parents and shit like that.
That'd make
like,
more sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Why
just feel
not?
like kids nowadays would be more, or like, Jake and Finn from Adventure Time or just shit like that.
true.
Does your average kid know who like Sylvester and Tweety Bird are?
I don't think so.
Yeah, or like Foghorn Leghorn, or like,
I don't think. Yeah, they're very old school characters.
yeah, and so it's like Disney's like, yeah, not Speedy Gonzales. I know they were talking about getting rid of Speedy Gonzales though for stereotype reasons, but they were like, yeah, Pepe Le Pew will not be in Space Jam 2, and
Oh, his name is Speedy Gonzales.
I know Speedy Gonzales, and he
Yeah.
wears like a sombrero.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the way he talks.
Yeah.
He talks in like a super stereotypical like Mexican accent, you know what I mean? So, but he's still in Space Jam. But Pepe Le Pew isn't. And I'm sure your average kid was like, okay, who the fuck is Pepe
Yeah,
Le
they
Pew?
don't care.
You know?
They
Like,
don't care. Yeah.
so. But it's just like, it's a cartoon skunk. Really like canceling a cartoon skunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll still watch it. I mean, Don Cheadle is the villain. I want to see Don Cheadle,
That'd be cool to see Don Cheadle.
antagonize LeBron. I am curious to see how LeBron's acting is. I'm curious to see what other superstars are in the movie. I hope Kevin Durant's not in that shit because he's like one of the worst actors I've ever seen. I don't know if you've seen Thunderstruck, but Kevin Durant
you
is
showed
one
me.
of the
I
worst
forgot
actors.
he did that movie.
Thunderstruck. I remember when I was in high school, I snuck out of school to go watch Thunderstruck with one of my
You
friends.
showed me the trailer and it was god
It's
awful.
so horrible. It's so unbelievably bad. Kevin Durant might be like the worst
Yeah.
athlete actor I've ever
I
seen.
mean, I don't know why. Like after or watching it, or even like halfway through, he was like, "No, I don't want to be a part of this."
Yeah,
Like,
I would've
sorry,
been like,
don't put me in this.
burn
Like,
this.
yeah.
Fucking reshoot it with Westbrook or something. I can't
Yeah.
be in this. But anyway, so I've seen LeBron act in a few things. Like, I don't know if you've seen that movie Trainwreck, but
No, I
LeBron
have
is a
not seen
pretty
that.
big character in that movie. It's an
Oh, no.
Amy Schumer movie.
No, I haven't seen it.
But so like
I've seen his commercials; are pretty good.
I've
Like
heard
the old
they're
Sprite
good.
ones and all that.
Yeah.
Pretty
All right,
good.
watch Trainwreck one night if you and Bree want to ever watch like a rom-com. It's a good rom-com, and LeBron's in a good chunk of that movie. He's actually a really good actor in that movie.
Okay.
He's funny. So I'm excited to see it. One thing I think is weird, though, and I don't know, maybe I'm being stupid, but he has, the whole movie is based around like him and his son. LeBron has two sons. We're like very familiar with who they are. Do you think it's weird that it's not his son playing his son in the movie? It's just some random actor.
I mean, it's pretty common though, you know.
But why use LeBron if you like?
His son probably could have been at school that day or something.
That day.
That day?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it's weird that we're gonna watch LeBron like be in this basketball movie with somebody that's not his son
Yeah, it
when
is
he has
weird.
two
That is
basketball loving sons. I don't know. But yeah, Space Jam 2 comes out next month. I have HBO Max, so if you guys want to come over and watch it, we can watch it.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be pretty stupid. Maybe we'll get a new cool song though, because that Space Jam song is a banger. The original one.
That's true.
Uh,
They're probably gonna try and remix it, and it's gonna just sound weird.
Oh,
It's
they'll like sample it and
Yeah.
then have Lil Baby rapping
Yeah.
over it or some shit.
Yeah, put some trap drums on it. Or
Oh
something like
yeah,
that.
put a trap beat
All right,
behind the
speaking
original
of that,
vocals.
I know you're a hip hop fan,
Mhm.
right? And J. Cole's album recently came out.
Right.
And so I love the album all together. Like in general, like I love it.
Right.
The features is the only thing that throw me off. Like, what do you think about the features, like Lil Baby and 21 Savage?
Like, what do I think about him having them?
And
or
then
how
he had a
they
couple
were?
other features. Just in general, like as far as like the
So like
it's a
two-part
pretty
question. Like A, what do you think about the music they make, right? And then B,
Yeah, I guess.
their collaboration with J. Cole. Is that how
Yeah.
we want to phrase it?
Sure, and because like the album itself is like, I mean, J. Cole is obviously just spitting bars, like going hard, just like showing like who he is and what he can do, right?
Right.
And then you have these two guys who are like, yeah, they're talented.
Mm-hmm.
I like 21 more than I do Lil Baby.
Right.
I mean, they're talented, right? Like, so obviously they're talented, right? But like, they're not, at least in my eyes, known for like spitting bars like a real like hip hop head would like to hear. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
at least from me, just personally.
Yeah.
So like, what do you think about it, just in general?
It's hard to say. So I think that I was definitely surprised.
Yeah, same,
because
for
the
sure.
first time I listened to the album, when I saw the tracks, I didn't see any features.
Right,
So I
same.
thought it was like a no feature thing. So I
Right.
think the first feature was Lil Baby, outside of like the sample for the first song from Cameron. So what I guess my first thought of it was he's trying to in some way like acknowledge the young talent.
Yes.
The new generation.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's what
But
I think too.
at the same time, he was picky with who he chose
Mm-hmm.
because like I can't listen to a Lil Baby album the whole way through, right? Well, not his most recent one. He has one before that I was able to get through like majority of it.
Hey, what do you mean? Why weren't you able to?
Because it started to sound the same.
Okay.
And I wasn't like internalizing what he was saying.
I feel like a lot of these artists, like there's a group of artists where all their music sounds roughly similar. Like part of our job is we have to put music into our database here at the office.
Right.
And we've done a couple stations where we've had to put in a lot of trap music. And after putting it in, like it really all starts to blend together and it sounds like the same shit.
It does.
Yeah.
And it can. But I think that I was not mad at his selection for 21 or Lil Baby.
Okay.
The reason I wasn't mad is because, like, as people, I know that they aren't just in it for, like, money. Like, 21 Savage is a family man, right? And J. Cole even mentioned that in the song. I think it was a lot when he did the song with him. He mentioned that he saw him in the studio with his kids and stuff like that. So, and he knows that they appreciate the art. Like some of their music sounds like everybody else's like nowadays. So I can definitely understand that. But I think that he also knows that in some way, shape, or form, they appreciate the craft as much as he did. And I think that from his experience being a newer rapper, years ago, some people were listening to his shit and they were like, nah, bro, like this nobody wants to hear this. You need to play some radio stuff. You need to have some stuff that's like appealing in the club and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, pretty much shut out by a lot of people until eventually a lot of people started to see the beauty in his music and it started to evolve at the same time. So when I listened to like 21 Savage, there's some songs I listen to, I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit.
Yeah.
But there are some songs where I'm like, bro, I can appreciate this. Not just because it sounds good, but like what he's saying is like legit. And I can hear like that he's practicing some rhyme scheme. I can hear that he's trying some new stuff and he actually appreciates the art versus coming in and just putting a bunch of words together, talking about lean or some shit like that, and then hopping out the studio to go do whatever. Like I could tell that, and pretty much the same thing from Lil Baby, because like Lil Baby kind of reminds me of Lil Wayne a little bit in that I know the reason I can't listen to him like his whole project, the last one all the way through, is because it starts to kind of run together. But I know that if I break down the shit that he's saying, he's actually saying some real stuff. He's just saying it hella fast, and it sounds like it's all running together. But if you actually break down the lines, he's actually talking about some decent stuff. And to be able to have the talent to run through a whole verse like that, to talk about some serious stuff, and people not even catch the fact that you're doing that, I think that J. Cole appreciated both of their like potential to be able to grow in the field. And I think he wanted to kind of show love to two young artists that are not like what we traditionally call lyrical, but have lyrical ability and potential. So I wasn't mad at it. That's all I can say. I wasn't mad at it. I did like the songs.
So
though.
what makes you not okay? When you say you're not mad at it, that you're obviously implying that there's some sort of something that's like kind of like underlying that you not necessarily don't like, but it's something that stands out as like not 100% okay.
Right.
So what is that?
So what that is I feel like I personally think he could have got better features.
Yeah.
So
same.
there are artists that are not just artists that are similar to him, but there are new artists on the scene who are coming up on the scene, who are new. Some have been around for a little bit that I haven't heard him work with, that I'm like, if they make a song together, that would be dope. Like, that would be next level for him to have a song with this person on the project. Like, they could actually make something that's like an anthem type shit for certain people, like in a certain dynamic. And I feel like him having those two and those two only. I mean, he had Boss on there. I think he had Black on there for like a small part or whatever.
I think so too. Yeah. Dame got a little feature.
Yeah, Dame got something for the interview from the Bubble last year. That was live. But outside of that, I was like, they're the only one. They're the only two that had like extended verses, and I was like,
yeah.
I wish he could have got somebody.
Okay, thank you. Cause like, all right, same. That's all I gotta say. Same. Yeah, what do you think, Tom?
I don't know. Sometimes I catch myself sounding like this old curmudgeon-y dude.
Dude,
I'm
I
like,
do too, bro.
Fuck these kids. Fuck this fucking trap music.
I'm with
you know.
you, bro.
And I understand that millions of people love it, and I love hip hop, and you know, like I want to be able to enjoy what the new stuff is. I don't know why I can't bring myself to do so, but my big thing is I want to try and get more open to enjoying it. And so like I've openly criticized dudes like Lil Baby, and you know, like sometimes I'll play his music in the office for you and I'll be like, Adam, listen to this shit.
What was the one lyric you showed me the other day?
Oh,
like, when?
Oh yeah,
bitch, I'm a baby.
When? Bitch, I'm a baby.
Oh, that's
exactly.
the song with Drake.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm sorry, I just couldn't help but laugh. I'm just like, come on, bro. Like, what is this?
That was actually like one of his first songs that came on.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, bro, Drake, what are you doing, dog?
Yeah, right. You're just like, come on, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a lot of dudes where I'll listen to it and I'm like, what is he even saying? Like Young Thug, sometimes I'm like, I have no idea what this man just said, you know?
Yeah.
So I appreciate what J. Cole is trying to do. I mean, even on Middle Child, he's talking about, you know, I sat down and I talked to 21 Savage. I sat down, I talked to Kodak, and like, he reminds me of this, he reminds me of myself. I see his potential, I see what he can do, and just things like that. And so like, I appreciate J. Cole wanting to sort of show love to that new generation and to kind of like big brother them. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
yeah.
J. Cole is one of those dudes that we're going to look back and he's going to be a legend forever. You know, he's like one of those dudes that's going to be seen as like one of the godfathers of hip hop or whatever.
Right.
So it's cool to see him take these dudes under his wing. And I'm glad for the possibility of them learning something from him. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I love when J. Cole does an album with no features. You know, like 2014 Forest Hills Drive, in my opinion, the best album he'll ever make, one of the best albums of all time. 0 features, went double platinum, and it was just him, just fucking spitting bars, and it was a work of art, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wanted Off Season to be that. But, yeah, I mean, I think Off Season was a very high-quality project. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was his best work, but I can understand his desire to have people like that featured on his album.
And we're only talking about 2 songs here.
Yeah.
Majority of the album is him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a few singing, a few parts where they're singing, but other than that, it's purely really him. And he has those 2 features. That's why it kind of stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's also not known for doing features, so
Yeah.
it kind of just stands out as like, that's interesting.
But
Why did you just choose
And the thing
that?
is, he's J. Cole. He could have anyone.
Yeah.
He could have literally anyone he wanted
Right.
feature on his shit.
But I appreciate him doing it though,
Yeah.
because that's not easy, bro.
Yeah.
Especially when you're known to be in this category, like it's easy for somebody to be like, "Nah, I can't have you featuring on my song, bro, because this isn't
For
my
sure.
sound."
For sure.
But I appreciate him doing that because one thing that I had to do, you mentioned Young Thug, which really kind of turned my attention to it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not a huge Young Thug fan. However, I've heard people call him a genius. And
This
I'm
is
like,
what I don't understand.
and
Yes.
I'm like, I didn't, when I first heard it, I was like, I don't see it, bro. I don't see how you can say that he's a genius. But when I listen to certain songs, I can kind of see what people are saying. And it's not that it's when they say genius, they don't mean he's a genius in the sense of he's taking something that's already been done and expanding on it in a traditional sense that would resonate with most people. So the way that he kind of carries his auto-tune at certain times, he's stepping away from the general framework of what it sounds like to make it sound a little bit different. And it gives it its own kind of sound. Some songs, it's like, I don't want to hear that. But some songs, it actually works. Like, it adds dramatic effect. Like, I don't know if you've had like Digits. I don't know if y'all know the song Digits, but it's like an older song where he's like, we run up the digits, we run up the money or something like that. But like the chorus actually sounds decent. Mm-hmm. But there's like a little part after where he's like, yeah. And it's like, I feel that. Like, I feel that you were actually kind of like, you were feeling the song a little bit, but it's not a traditional, like, I can actually sing, I'm a sing on it. It was just like, I'm going to play with this sound, throw it in there, and I'm going to sing with this sound.
Heavily auto-tuned, yeah. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But it was like, but he create, like, what I learned to understand is they're appreciating the fact that it's not traditional. It's not always going to sound good to a lot of people. Most of the time, it's not going to sound good. To me, most of the time, it's not going to sound good. But there are songs that are like, I can see where they kind of feed off of that. I can see where, like, he can take that and potentially turn that into something that is a masterpiece that most people would be able to appreciate.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so, like, when I listen to 21 Savage, I kind of get the same vibe. Like, there are some songs.
21.
Yeah. When I hear that shit, I'll be like, I don't want to hear that shit. But there are some songs, again, like, he has a song called, like, Ball Without You on his, like, not his last album, but a couple albums ago or whatever. I was like, bro, this doesn't sound like a lot of his other songs. Okay. But if you listen to it, you like, I can see the potential in him making songs like that reoccurring. It's just his environment, the way that he makes music maybe, and all that kind of stuff leads him to stray towards other paths as well. So his music is really diverse. But if you listen to most of it or the shit that they put on the radio, you're going to think of him like, oh, he just makes this kind of music. Sure. But if you listen to some of his stuff, you'd be like, okay, I can kind of see where he's going. Yeah.
And I will say, like, for sure, I have not given most of those artists a fair chance. Like, honestly, I haven't.
For real.
Because, you're right. Most of the stuff I do hear just sounds very, like, it just doesn't vibe with me. And it just doesn't vibe with me. And you know, so, like, going back to, like, the J. Cole, like, I do need to give those guys more of a listen because obviously, like I love to listen to albums from start to finish. Like, I love to put on an album from track one, listen to all the way through, and, like, really get the feel of, like, where their head space was at. Yeah. You know what I mean? And just get the feel for it. I love doing that. And I feel like I just can't do it with some of those artists. You know, I'm just like,
you can't, bro.
So yeah, I like that part of it. But so, like, with J. Cole, like, it's like, honestly, like, I was expecting, like, maybe a Kendrick, maybe something, like, I was expecting some, like, top-notch lyricist artist, because, like, obviously if you're a Cole fan, you're gonna be a little more, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like if you're, like, a real Cole fan, you're gonna be more of, like, a contemplative kind of person. Like, I feel like you would want to sit back, like, almost the same as, like, somebody who maybe, like, shoots tequila shots and the other person who drinks, like, extra añejo tequila sits back and want to sip it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's giving you, like, real quality music. Yeah. And you really want to sit back and reflect, let it sink in. Yeah, maybe reflect on your life. Like, think about, you know, your traumas or your childhood or whatever it is. Like, like that's the type of artist he is, right? Like, he's gonna, like, paint this picture for you, and you can just sit back and enjoy it. Yeah. Versus, like, some of the obviously a lot of the hip hop and trap, I call it trap pop. It's just like it's a one stop, you know, quick club banger, whatever. So anyways, that's why, like, when I talk about this feature, because I think it's a big deal for him to do a feature and then to pick those people, and that's the one thing that stood out for me in this album. I feel like I agree with you, because I argue about this with my friends, and I agree with you on the point that, like I feel like he's bringing these people in, like, 'cause they're obviously from the younger generation, and, like, and he's a little bit older than, you know, your average, you know, person or hip hop artist at this time. But, like, you could tell he's, like, it's definitely, like, kind of a big brother kind of vibe. And but you can obviously tell, like, on that on the songs they're featured on, you can tell, like, the skill level difference. Right. Like, you can see, right? Like, you can see, like, Cole's a master, and these guys are, like, the pupils. You know what I mean? Like, you could just tell, like, these guys have a long ways to go to get to that level of mastery. And, like, Like that's why I was hoping he can get somebody on the same level. Like I was expecting to hear someone like some kind of lyricist, some kind of artist that's gonna be on that level and like vibe with him. But it was interesting. So I think it's gonna influence. Like I would love if a 21 Savage fan or a Lil Baby fan listened to that. It's like saw like that art. If one of their favorite artists was featured on Cole, they're like, oh, they're featured on Cole. Like let me listen to the whole album and like maybe like become a Cole fan or something like. Because obviously I feel like the fans of those artists are gonna be younger generation. They're not going to be obviously from, 30s and up. They're probably going to be under 30 years old. Yeah. People who. Yeah, so it's like if he can bring people in and like and just be influenced by Cole's music because he's got those guys featured on, I think it's a win, like big win. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like that's what Cole like in a lot of his. He's so message based. Like there's so much of his music that's got a deep meaning and message behind all of it. And that's I think is missing from a lot of music today, especially in the hip hop. Oh, yeah. So like I feel like if he can influence a few people who are fans of those artists and come over and like and just make them think a little bit deeper about their lives and what they're doing, like it's awesome, And
he's also influencing the artists too,
right?
Like, and that's very important. And I think another thing that he's doing is like even on the Lil Baby feature, right? His first two verses don't sound like the last one. Like the last one, his last verse like was him rapping and then it ran into Lil Baby's verse. You could tell that like he was kind of like not Lil Broing him in the sense of like you're like you here, but he was like I could rap it, I could do this too. Like what you do is not just something that you can do. I could rap this way if I wanted to. Sure. And so his last little verse, even though it was just a couple lines or whatever, he was speeding it up to a way it sounded like a Lil Baby sound, and that's how Lil Baby was able to hop on the track and start doing his thing. So it was also kind of like a way to kind of bridge the middle to show like I rap this way, I do it this way because this is how I appreciate my art and this is how my fans appreciate my art. However, what y'all do, I could do that.
Yeah, it's almost like with Logic did something similar. Like when he does the Bobby Tarantino projects. I don't know if you've heard those. Like, because that was like his trap.
Just
album.
Fucking turn up music.
And he's like, look, I can do this shit too, and like he killed it. And you're just like, damn, yeah. And so you start to realize like a lot of these artists like Kendrick and these like top notch like level guys, they can make all of that music too and make it probably sound better. You know what I mean?
And have it have some meaning behind it.
Right. Yeah.
But another thing about the Cole project is like I don't even think I think he has a couple more. Well, I know he does. He has a couple more like already lined up. Because I don't know if y'all seen like his IG page, but on his IG page he had like a list that he dropped, I think last year, and it was like the off season and then It's a Boy and then the Fall Off.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so that's like
okay. So there's a project coming in between the Fall Off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he acknowledged that. So like I feel like this was like his project where he was kind of like, again, he even said it in Applying Pressure, like people act like he not that, like he can't do that, which he can. So this was like a project for him to just be able to kind of go back to the skill component and just rap.
Yes.
But he has other projects that are on the way that might have those features that like a lot of Cole fans were hoping to see on this past project. Okay. So hopefully that's the case, because it's like it's a theme, right? And he's strategic in that way. But the title of it is the off season. So in the off season, you might go to a Rico Hines camp and hoop with guys that you wouldn't hoop with normally, right? Like you've seen Russell Westbrook, Paul George, James Harden, some of those guys playing on the same team. You wouldn't see them playing on the same team. They don't play the same tempo. All of them are like they ball dominant, but in the summer, like it's just basketball.
Right.
And I'm just working on my game like in this area, and when I come to play, like I can diversify my style. And so that's kind of what I feel like he's doing like here, because it's the off season. But once he gets into his other projects, now I'm getting into the regular season. So I'm looking at It's a Boy like the regular season.
I can see that. That's a good observation.
And then looking at the Fall Off like the playoffs. Like that's where I'm gonna show what I do. Everything that I was working on that you didn't see, that I didn't show you in the off season.
Yeah.
Everything that I was kind of practicing a little bit on in It's a Boy, on the Fall Off you're gonna see it. And that's like
it makes sense.
The climax of the projects.
Right.
So hopefully I could be reaching. But again, I've seen that list. He still has it up there if y'all want to check it out. But it says the off season, It's a Boy, and the Fall Off, and it's like a lineup with projects that he's got. So hopefully we have some better features coming.
So I love that you at least acknowledge that it could have been better, but that's not what he was shooting for, right? So
Right.
at least we can agree on that. So like, cause yeah, I think it's like, especially for me, like I'm a hip hop purist. Like at least I catch myself like, you know, you have like snobs of things, like you know what I mean. I feel like I'm a
Right.
snob a little bit. Like I'm a little bit of a snob because I
Bro,
talk shit
yeah.
whenever like, and I'll put shit down whenever I'm not really like I don't mean anyone harm or
Right.
like I'm not trying to talk smack about. I'm not trying to say you're lesser than someone or anything like that, right?
Right.
But it's I find myself doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. But like,
Yeah.
it's for a reason though, right? Like, cause
Yeah.
you know, it's a passion. It's
Yes,
a, you know,
bro.
something that.
I used to be
Yeah.
like that. Like if I didn't have younger, like if I didn't hang around my younger sister and my
Right.
cousin, sometimes I wouldn't even give that stuff the light of day because
Yeah.
I wouldn't like if they're in the car, I might play stuff that's like a hybrid of what I listen to
Right.
and what they listen to. So that kind of opens me up to wanting to listen to somebody else just
Yeah.
because of the car ride. I'm like, at least if I'm gonna listen to Lil Baby, I'm gonna make it a song that I want to.
What do you listen to? Who are some of your favorite artists?
Obviously I'm a Cole fan. I listen to some Kendrick, not that he's not good, but that message isn't like necessarily something that he's got certain songs that I listen to. But sometimes when he experiments, it don't hit me. So I listen to Cole. I listen to Big Crit. I don't know if you
I love
y'all
Big
know
Crit.
him.
Hell yeah.
I listen to Earth Gang.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all know Jid.
Yep.
Yeah.
I introduced you to Reason a little bit.
Yeah.
He's
He put me
new
on
to-
Reason. Yep.
New to TDE.
He's nice.
Yeah, he's dope. Rhapsody. I don't know if y'all know
Love
Rhapsody,
Rhapsody.
but she's a dope
I
female
love
artist,
Rhapsody.
bro.
Yeah.
So people.
She doesn't
people
get enough
like
credit,
that.
by the way.
Oh my god.
She's
bro.
underlooked. She's underrated for sure.
Bro. As far as lyricism goes, she competes with like Cole
Agreed,
and
agreed,
Kendrick to me,
100%.
bro.
100%.
Like there's actually songs where she has a song with Kendrick and she has a song with Cole. It's arguable that she watched them both.
God
on this
damn.
song. Like
Bro, she is that good for real.
she's dope, bro.
But most of the stuff I've heard her on has been features. Like I rarely listen to like any of her albums, which I need to. But like she's been featured on so much, like it's because she's featured on artists that I like Absol and obviously
yeah.
Kendrick and like
and Mac Miller,
Mac
she
Miller,
has
just
a
random
good-
stuff
yeah.
like that, like random projects that she's just featured on because it's just artists that I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And every verse I've heard from her, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
she's cold, she's nice, like
she's dope, bro.
yeah.
She's dope. She's got a couple of really, really good projects. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up the bulk of my list. Everybody else is kind of like, I listen to Meek Mill when I want to feel a little racy. 'Cause, that might be Wale. I don't know if y'all know Wale. But,
Wale
yeah,
has
dude.
been good for so long.
yeah, I fuck
Yeah,
with
man.
Wale tough. He's like one of the people that kind of, he didn't fall off in terms of like his ability, but he fell off the radar because
Yeah.
like Cole was popping and like whatever else happened on the side or whatever. But he's like a person that kind of has been consistent on that level
Yeah,
with
for
Cole
sure.
a little bit. So
Do you listen to anything other than hip hop?
I listen to R&B,
Okay.
but that's really my only two genres.
Yeah.
I'll listen to other stuff if it's on,
Yeah.
but like those are the genres that kind of resonate
Who in
with
R&B
me.
R&B do you like?
New or old? New.
Yeah,
Both
new.
mix, whatever.
Sure, or whatever. Yeah.
I'll do new. Well, I can go old.
Yeah, throw some old in there.
If I go old, I listen to like Luther Vandross. I listen
Yeah.
to
Legend.
Mary J. Blige.
Yep.
I listen to Joe, Michael Jackson, a little bit of Prince. And there's some random people. Like there might be one song like from like a person. Like I literally have like playlists on my Tidal account, like a jams playlist that's literally just like old school jams. I think it's got like 2,000 or 3,000 songs on it. So I would
Damn.
literally have to just like play it and be like, oh yeah, I listen to them. I listen to
Yeah,
that
right,
person.
right.
New. I like Janae Aiko.
She's awesome.
I fuck with Snow Allegra as well. I
Okay.
like her.
She's got a
sound.
really interesting sound.
Yeah, I appreciate her.
I've
sound.
like found her through that song she did with Logic, and then I started listening to more of her shit, and she's just got a really cool sound. She's good.
You mentioned to the rap, Joyner Lucas. I don't know if y'all know Joyner, but Joyner
Yeah.
is
Bro,
fucking dope.
I'd
bro.
put him right now at the top like 3.
Oh,
To me, like he's
easy,
like
bro.
to me he can rap with Cole
Yeah.
and Kendrick.
Oh, Easy,
Like,
bro.
If anyone
Easy.
just goes and listen to like some of his freestyles, and he just has a new song out. I forgot what it's called, but like this man is talented, bro. Like he's got like you can just see it, man. Like and he started off making Facebook video or like YouTube Facebook videos or whatever. I don't know if y'all originally saw like it was like one was about race, one was about like
yeah. I'm not a racist and, and like
That's like-
Frozen and stuff like
Correct
that.
me if I'm wrong, but is that how he just started off? Like just making stuff like that?
Yeah, he started off just making like songs like that,
Isn't that crazy?
and doing remixes to other songs and freestyling to other songs.
That's
how it
crazy to start
started.
off like that, and then
Yeah.
that just shows you like I mean yeah you gotta have talent to start off doing something like that.
Yeah,
And now he's on songs with Eminem and shit, and you're just like damn, dude
Nah,
is cold.
Yeah.
Joyner is top of the line.
He's
bro.
cold, man.
Like underrated
For sure.
as fuck.
For sure.
But I thought of Joyner because you said she did a song with Logic and she did a song with Joyner, and that's
Okay.
how I got turned on to Snow. I was like, damn, who is that singing? And he happened to have the feature. Thank God he had the feature.
What was his latest album? It was something about like not ADHD, but something. What was it called? I forgot the name of it. But it was a really interesting album. It's basically like him. It's a concept album, and it's basically him sitting with like his therapist at a young age, and like the traumas of going through that, and like drugs and stuff like it's powerful. It's like damn, it's some
Didn't
crazy
he-
shit on there.
He did a song called ADHD with Logic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I think that was on that album.
Yeah.
So I forgot what the album is
The
called,
album
but it's
is
something.
ADHD.
Is that the name of the
Yeah.
album?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Then yeah, so the album is really
because they
fascinating.
had
interesting.
like serious beef before. Remember, like Joyner and
did.
Logic.
Oh, I didn't know they had
Oh,
beef.
they
They
yeah.
had beef.
That's
Oh,
why
no, I didn't
that
know
That's
song,
why that song-
ADHD was like there, like the squashing of that beef.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
That's
know
why
that.
that's why
I didn't
Logic
know
came
that.
on and he was like, "What's beef? Beef is when you
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
because
okay.
they actually had some.
Oh, I didn't know that.
some beef.
Yeah.
But they
it
both
was- I mean,
they
it was
both
serious for a
killed
while,
that
yeah.
song. They both did
Oh,
amazing. Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, Joyner's top of the line, bro. But yeah, Snow, Ari Lennox, very big fan of Ari Lennox.
She's nice.
Black. I don't know if y'all know, he's a rapper, not a R&B. I don't know if y'all heard of West Side Boogie.
Yeah, I've heard of his name. I'd
He's
have to go
dope.
back and listen to his stuff though. I
He's
don't.
dope.
Yeah.
I mean, his first two projects just have certain songs that I can listen to, but his most recent one, and he's in what's Eminem's label?
Aftermath. No.
Shady
Yeah.
Records.
Shady Records.
Shady
yeah.
Records. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Shady Records
Okay.
artist. But his most recent project is dope. It's like it's conceptual, laid back.
Okay.
He plays with cadence and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like a singing element too.
Yeah.
I'll send you. Like
All right. Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I'll check him out.
But yeah, people like that. That's kind of
Nice.
my taste.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'd say it was another good episode, huh?
Like you just woke up. I just pop up.
Wait.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, we're about 2 hours in.
Before
Yeah.
we adjourn, what are y'all's take on who y'all got for the playoffs?
Here we go, another hour of us. And we could probably talk about this for a while. I've got the finals, Phoenix versus Brooklyn, with Brooklyn winning it all. I really like Phoenix. And it might just be like I don't know. I might just be like partially heated because I've been saying for a while that Phoenix was going to be good. Like even back when they were trash, but they had Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I was like, how is this team not good? They're going to be good. Just wait. And then last year in the bubble, they went 8-0 in the bubble, and they still didn't make the playoffs because of how the records lined up. But they just went into the bubble.
They did
and they
go
just
8-0.
played
I forgot
so
about that.
fucking hard. The basketball they were playing in the bubble was some of the best I've ever seen. Like, and they went 8-0, and then it ended up not mattering. But it was just like they put it all out there, left it all out on the court. So then I was really excited to see what they did this year. And I was telling everyone, I was like, y'all need to watch out for the Suns this year. Like, I don't know if y'all saw what they did in the bubble, but they are going to be really good this year. And then they picked up Chris Paul, and I was like, watch out, they're going to be trouble. And I feel like people just kept doubting them, and people like kept calling me crazy for saying the Suns were going to really be like a finals threat. And now, I mean, I know Anthony Davis got hurt, but they really made short work of the Lakers. Like, that one game, they had the Lakers down by like 32 at halftime or whatever. So I just really like Phoenix. I think they're better than Utah. I am not scared of the Clippers, really. I don't even know if the Clippers will win their Utah series. I just like Phoenix. That's who I want to see go from the West.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see Chris Paul get his.
Yeah, I want to see Chris
That's
Paul
true.
get another championship shot. And then I love Devin Booker. He's been pulling up to these games and like these old Lincolns with these giant fucking rims. And like seriously, he's been pulling up in like these giant fucking old schools, you know. So I just think Devin Booker is a cool dude. And then Brooklyn, I just think is too good to be stopped. I have Brooklyn representing the East. I don't think anyone can stop them. I think they're gonna fuck Milwaukee up. And I think if Philly or Atlanta makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're getting their shit ran too. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with James Harden. I don't know how much he's going to play for the rest of the playoffs. He keeps aggravating that right hamstring. But, I mean, they won by 40 without him the other night, so I think it's proof that, like, they don't even need James Harden. He's just, like, icing on the cake. As long as they have a healthy Kevin Durant, a healthy Kyrie Irving, they have a really deep team, they have great coaching. If they get James Harden back and James Harden manages to play for the rest of the playoffs, I physically do not see how anyone can beat this basketball team. They're really good at basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think it's going to be good. I don't think any of these series are going to be like uninteresting. I think every game there's a reason to watch. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is so far it's been a really entertaining NBA playoffs. You know, and the NBA playoffs is my favorite postseason of every sport. I'll say it like over and over. So I'm really excited to see what happens. But yeah, my money is on Phoenix and Brooklyn now. It was on Brooklyn and LA, Brooklyn and the Lakers, but Anthony Davis got hurt, and then the supporting cast of the Lakers just decided they wanted to be fucking soft, and you know, Dennis Schroeder and KCP and all those guys just did not do what they needed to do for that team to win. And yeah. We'll see what happens, but Brooklyn and Phoenix, that's what I say. What about you, Adam?
Well, now that I originally had... Okay, so I had the Mavs beating Clippers, but Clips pulled that out, which I was kind of surprised, but they had to work their ass off to get it. So, I think with Kawhi and in that team, I think they're really tough. I think they'll probably take the West with no LeBron. I think he's the best superstar, the best just number one guy out of the rest of the West. You know what I mean? I think he's just going to take over and just, all right, give me the ball, get out the way. Paul George isn't doing much. I would like to see Paul George do more, but you can't ask for much. I mean, yeah, he's doing okay. You just put it that way. The rest of the team stepping up. Reggie Jackson's been huge for that team. Yeah. I see them. They got some vets. I see them going all the way now. And then I'm going to stick with Milwaukee. I originally said Milwaukee coming out the East. I'm going to stick with them. Currently, they're down 2-0 against the Nets. They got blown out in Game 2. Wasn't looking good Game 1 either. But god damn, man, they need to learn how to use Giannis. If I was a coach on the team, here's what I would do. Giannis, run straight under the goal and block your man in and throw him the ball.
Yeah, just
what
seal.
Can you do? Seal out and just give him the ball.
What can you do? Yeah.
Why is he holding the ball at the top of the key? Why are they giving the ball at the 3-point line? He's playing like he shouldn't be. Like, there's no reason as a head coach I would ever let him get the ball at the 3-point line. No, there's no reason you should be handing the ball there.
Right.
He's gonna get his fast breaks. He's gonna get his, off transition buckets. He's gonna get that. Let him get that. I feel like they're trying to recreate that in their half court. It ain't gonna work. Sorry. Give him the ball in the post and let the offense run off of that. I'm sorry.
Right.
But anyways, that's my tangent about the Bucks. I feel like they could be so much better.
Do you still think the Bucks are going to the finals?
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to it.
All right,
it's
Bucks,
not looking
Clippers.
good, but look, I mean, it's obviously they're obviously 0-2 down at away. Once they go back home, it's obviously going to be a different story.
Yeah.
The game's going to be different. I think, I'm going to still give them a chance because they're still doing a lot of, moving pieces around. Like Game 1 and 2 are pretty vastly different on how they approach the game. So we'll see if they learn anything from the first two and make any transition. But I feel like, honestly, I feel like the Bucks are just a better team.
Yeah.
Just overall rounded. I mean, the Nets obviously have the two best superstars, and that you could probably say that trumps everything else that the Bucks got going on.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. This is how it is right now. So I got the Bucks still going in the East, and then I'm going with the Clippers in the West.
And the Clippers started off 0-2, and they got their ass handed to them.
They did both games for sure.
When the Mavs started out 2-0, and I thought the Clippers were about to get swept.
But it looks
the
like
Mavericks
that.
looked so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I do not see how the Clippers are going to beat this team. Luka was just giving them the fucking business. And then
but it can the momentum can swing so easily. It can swing in a game and it can swing through a series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that momentum can shift pretty fast. So
and it's crazy that it's almost like the home court worked in the opposing team's favor.
It did. It was weird.
Like Dallas stole both of the first home games. So that's why people were like, oh, yeah, they getting swept.
Right.
Well,
'Cause they
didn't
going back
the
to
road
Dallas.
team won every game of that series, right?
Except
Until
for the
Game 7.
Except for Game 7, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
they won game 1 and 2, and it was like, you're going back to Dallas. Like, they're going to at least get one.
Exactly.
And go up 3-1. And at that point, they just have to play another home game, and they pretty much seal the deal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and it really sucks also seeing Luka go out like that because he just had such an epic,
Oh my God.
legendary performance, like of just a single series. Like, it's rare that you ever see a man play
Yeah.
that good throughout the entire series and just dominate. And you're just like, wow.
I don't think people
Incredible.
appreciate that enough,
It's
bro.
incredible.
I think people are trying to, like, put that on the Clippers and say, oh, the Clippers weren't playing well.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. No,
No,
Luka
yeah.
was doing some shit.
Nobody
that-
could hold Luka.
Oh, my
It didn't matter
God,
who you
bro.
put on him.
Yeah.
Anybody. And those are some of the best defenders in
Yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
Like, some of the most, like, harassing people.
Right.
Patrick Beverly, Rajon Rondo,
Morris.
Paul George, Morris,
Yeah.
Kawhi.
Shit, Kawhi, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, I mean, from the three-point line, posting them up, driving, like whatever he wanted to do, fading away off
Yeah.
the glass.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, what is a fadeaway three-pointer
Yeah.
just in the ran just because I want to? Like, I don't,
Yeah. I mean,
like,
as long as he's on the Mavericks will be a threat for the rest of
Oh, yeah.
their, yeah. So they just got to get some more pieces, build that team up a little bit more.
Kristaps Porzingis has to stay healthy and play well.
Yeah,
they
so we'll see.
They got Rick Carlisle got to do something too.
Yeah.
I think he fucked them up.
And then
trying to
Dame
play.
had an incredible, so far, like throughout the first
Dame
round has
played
been
amazing
incredible.
and ended up going home. Yeah.
They fired.
Dame
Terry
had a
Stotts.
legendary performance. Yeah. So
If CJ McCollum didn't step out of bounds and, the Trailblazers win that game 6, they might be in the second round right now. I don't know.
yeah,
The Blazers got bigger issues though, bro.
yeah, they do for sure.
The Blazers need to send CJ McCollum somewhere, and they need to get another second star with Damian. They need to try and get, a dominant big or something like that. Karl Anthony Towns is a target for Portland to,
I've
get.
heard about that.
I mean, if you can just imagine Dame having somebody he can just run pick and rolls with, like all
Yeah.
day long, like it'd be unstoppable.
If that team had a guy like a Karl Anthony
Yeah.
Towns, dude, they would be set.
Yeah, because you can see Nurkic doing it, but he's just not doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
And they're not. That's why Terry Stotts got fired, because
Yeah.
I don't think he was like equipped to coach the talent that he had. They've
No.
been playing the same basketball for the
Yeah.
past couple years.
you got to change something up.
And if it doesn't, you can't keep doing the same shit. Terry Stotts been there, 8, 9 seasons? Terry
Yeah.
Stotts was their coach. And it's just like the same thing. The same style of play, the same end result. Yeah, I mean, Terry Stotts is a good coach. I'm sure he'll go
Yeah.
somewhere and do well for himself. But now they're talking about they want, like, Jason Kidd to be their coach or something like that. So I don't know who the Trailblazers are going to get next. Whoever they get, I'm sure will be a quality pick. They're supposedly, like, letting Dame be a huge part of the decision process, which I think is huge. I definitely think you should let your superstars have a lot of input.
and it keeps them happy. They're like,
Yeah, especially if, like, you
Damn,
want him
he
to
did.
continue.
But I think it should go somewhere else, honestly.
He should.
I think he should.
But that's
too.
what I'm saying. Like, he's so dedicated to being a Blazer for life.
I don't think that's the
But
case
if you want to
anymore,
win,
bro. I think
I mean-
he's
Well,
like fed up.
he
little
put up
bit,
an
bro.
Instagram
Yeah,
post.
I saw
What?
that.
After they lost, it was like a picture of him, and the caption was like some quote, but it was like, "How long should I remain dedicated?" Like, I forgot what the caption was.
How long till preparation meets results or something like that?
It was a lyric from a song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a Nipsey Hussle quote.
Yeah.
By the way, just started listening to Nipsey like a couple years ago.
oh really?
Yeah, I tried to like 5 years ago, and I couldn't get into the sound.
Same.
But I saw the evolution, and I was like, okay, I can
He
kinda
definitely
listen.
grew a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
yeah. He said, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation?"
Yeah, there you go. So I think the Blazers are in a
He's
terrible.
gone. He's gone.
He's gone.
Because like the coach is gone, and now like he mentioned that he wanted Jason Kidd, but Jason Kidd just pulled his name out of the hat for the
Oh,
Blazers
really?
job. So I mean, there's only so many more coaches you can get. And then I
Yeah.
saw something today that Nurkic did an exit interview, and he was like, I don't know if I'm coming back. I like I was being used, but I didn't like the way that I was being used. I was like, whoa, I didn't even know he said this shit. I saw it because Stephen A was talking
Yeah.
shit.
Damn.
But I was like, bro, this team looks
Yeah,
like
that team
it's
might be
about
falling
to-
apart for sure. Yeah, I mean, if Dame wants a legit chance, he's got to go somewhere else.
he
He's
gotta
got to,
leave.
because Portland's a small market. They can't get as much as he wants, obviously. And then you got other teams like, I mean, Houston's about to have a huge transition.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we're gonna be in the race for getting some superstars in relatively, next 2 to 3 years, you know.
I wouldn't
So-
come here.
I'm just saying though, like
Yeah.
obviously, with James Harden, and we saw the talent that we try to put around him. Like we try to build some teams. Obviously, we're one game away from going to the chip. So like, you could put teams here. I'm just being hopeful. Anyways,
Yeah.
he could go anywhere. There's so many
Okay.
other teams he could go to, but yeah.
Man, I don't know what's gonna happen, but some teams got to make some changes for sure. We'll see.
They do.
We'll see what the Lakers do. LeBron might fucking clean house. You know how LeBron has a reputation for getting rid of people that he thinks are standing in the way of him and winning. So LeBron might be like, this Anthony Davis shit isn't working out. Trade him. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel bad for AD though, low key. Like
Street,
just the amount of
street
injuries.
clothes.
Yeah.
Street clothes.
Just the amount of injuries, man. It just sucks. Like, damn.
Nah, he's fragile. I think,
What is he doing to his body that he keep?
Well, he's just lean. That's why, and I think that the Lakers really they fucked up this past offseason. Like they were so fortunate. Like people were talking about the Nets putting together a team.
Mm-hmm.
They were so fortunate to put together a team where you got Rondo in combination with Dwight, JaVale McGee,
Right.
and Avery Bradley and Danny Green. Like you have so many veterans.
Yeah.
That team was
But-
so wild. Yeah.
But for AD, the best thing for him was that he didn't have to play center. You
Yes.
always had Dwight or JaVale on the court at
Right.
the same time.
Right.
So he didn't have to bang with anybody.
Yes.
So he could literally just roam on defense.
And he's almost like a 7-foot guard too. He likes to play. He likes to face up. He likes to triple threat. He doesn't
Yeah.
really like back to the basket as much.
And that did, like, I think that he was the most important player for the Lakers last year.
For sure.
And
Oh, he
I-
was
and
huge.
I
He
didn't
was
even
huge.
understand why he didn't get Finals MVP, to be honest
Yeah,
with you. I
same.
felt like he should have got it because he cleans up everything. That's why Booker was able to take over the last couple of games. Because the first couple of games, he had some decent plays, some nice shots, and he was putting up stats, but he couldn't go as hard as he wanted to because AD was meeting him at the rim. Even like his leaner shots, like he couldn't lean into it because AD was right there. So he started fading away. But when they lost AD, all of his shots went forward and he started going to the rim. And that was it. But
Yeah.
the fact that they lost Dwight and they lost JaVale, that put a lot more strain on AD. And AD's injury prone. Like it's
Yeah, it just sucks to see because some
Yeah.
guys just like the what if factor with those guys. You know, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
they could be so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird though. It's like you ask yourself, is this like a conditioning problem? You know what I mean? Like you look at AD, his body has looked the exact same ever since he's come into the league.
Well, he was
Yeah.
a little leaner as a rookie.
Oh, yeah,
he was pretty
way-
stick and bones.
Yeah.
For the most part, though, he's looked
Yeah, he's always been skinny.
He really needs to have a season where he comes in and he just looks like a new dude. You know what I mean?
But some people, it's not in their cards. Like some people literally just can't get swole like that. It's just not how their body is. You
Yeah.
know, just
And
it's just.
that's
yeah.
why he needs to play power forward. Like
Yeah.
he has to play power forward. He can't play center. Like it's important for Paul George to
Yeah.
play shooting guard, not small forward.
Agreed.
Because he's so lean. And
Agreed.
It's important for KD to play small forward
Yes.
and not power forward.
Or center at that. I
Yeah.
mean, he can play center. They had him running at center
They
last
did.
game.
They did.
For a couple of plays, you're like, what the? He's out there holding centers. Like,
Yeah.
But like, obviously, he's the same kind of guy who's just been lanky his whole like. There's some people's body is built. It's just not gonna.
Yeah.
You just can't put muscle on it like that. It's just
Yeah.
not gonna work. Especially in basketball, it's so different because you're running constantly. You have to be lean.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get big guys like Jokic running up and down the floor. That's rare.
Yeah.
To
There's
get big guys like
Zion,
that,
yeah.
guys that big and be able to run, like it's rare because you have to be lean. You have to be in shape. It's such a huge part of basketball. So
I will say some of AD's injuries are weird though. Like
For sure.
finger injuries, toe injuries is like how did you hurt that?
Yeah.
Playing basketball. But again, I credit that to being so lean. And I don't think he should change it. I think it's a hell of an advantage. They just have to put a
Yeah.
center next to him.
for sure.
Because otherwise he'll clean up the rest of your you don't even have to have a great defense.
For sure.
You could just have AD and that's your defense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we'll see what the Lakers end up doing, but they will not repeat as champions this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, Christian, thanks for doing the show with us, man.
For sure.
We appreciate you coming on. We're getting pretty long in here, but you know.
We got to be almost
So-
to 3 hours, I feel
Now
like.
we're at 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Not too bad. It's-
Yeah.
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 But yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. Taking the time out your day to come talk with us and hang with us, man. You're welcome anytime.
For sure.
Love to have you on, man.
Yeah.
It was a fun conversation.
Yeah, I'll be
appreciate
back.
you.
I can be back for sure.
Is there anything you want to shout out? Anything that NSBE has going on or anything you want to mention on the air?
Well, I didn't prepare anything, so I'm gonna come off the cuff with this one. But we're, again, like I said earlier, at NSBE at the University of Houston, we're in the planning stages of everything that we're doing this year. This year is going to be different, especially coming out of the pandemic. We're going to be looking to do a lot more things in person, but also just interactive. So if there's anybody who's interested in donating or being a part of any events, coming to speak to our students, or any schools or, you know, any grade school programs that would like us to come volunteer, give our knowledge and our 2 cents about what it's like to be in college, what it's like to be an engineering student, whatever the case may be. We're open to all means of communication. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at chair@uhnsb. What is it? Yeah,
EDU?
.org.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Again, chair@uhnsb.org, and I'm more than I have literally my emails on my phone. So if you email me right now, I'll get it and I'll reply to you, and we can work on opportunities and stuff like that. So also, just shout out to all our members. Love you.
Dope. Appreciate
right.
you, man.
No, for sure.
Well, yeah, that's another episode of the Midnight Variety Hour. Until next week, what are our reminders for our listeners this week, Adam? I feel like I always
Whatever you make up.
whatever I make up.
Yeah.
Condition your body, commit to clean energy, and don't get caught under a windmill in a windstorm. Stay safe out there in the cosmos.
Peace.